Lost his mind, but that's okay.
We're trying to find it.
I'll find it for him, and we'll give it. Hopefully, we can get it reinserted before the end of the show this morning.
But it's Friday, so if we don't find it for a while, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, we'll make it to the weekend.
Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Just a little bit of reminder: Sunday is Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that. Mm-hmm. Buy your wife a mower.
You know, I mentioned that yesterday. Pam had a couple comments yesterday when I got home.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, did you put a bow on it?
That always makes it look pretty.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. A lot going on in the news. There always is. They have a new pope.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Against so many. It was such a shock.
Yeah. An American pope.
Apparently, he was on a lot of people's list, but nobody knew what list that was.
Right. I see that he was.
There was two lists out there.
Yes.
And then the list that was published out there didn't have his name on it. But it tells you something because on the fourth vote in a day and a half, he was elected.
Yeah.
I can't help but think this was a slam dunk deal.
Sounds like it, huh?
Yeah, they had to go through the first three in order to narrow it down.
Okay.
And then the fourth one, you have to have 2/3.
Yeah.
You can see how fast the narrowing down went.
Right. Yes.
And so, anyway, 69 years old, Louis XIV.
Louis the 14th, yeah. Well, now that we're going to see what kind of pope he is. Everybody's wondering, traditionalist, liberal?
Leo, not Louis, Leo.
Sorry.
Well, I apologize.
Louis, Leo. It's
well, Leo's supposed to be. It's a take from a lion, but I apologize. I want to be respectful.
It's
here.
An honest mistake.
But he speaks Italian. He's from Chicago. What's wrong with Louis? I don't know.
Louis.
Hey, Louis. Anyway, I want to be respectful here. But anyway, we'll have all that coming up a little bit later. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Otherwise, what's going on?
Well, coming into Mother's Day, It is National Knockout Rose Day. Now, this is a trademark name. The Knockout Rose is from the early 90s, so this is a new rose. National Knockout Rose Day is celebrated on the Friday before Mother's Day. It is a fun national day celebrating the beautiful knockout rose and its iconic clusters of deep pink blooms. I just can't keep up with the roses.
Okay, Peggy can.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes when I get a rose thing here, I got to be really careful because I know Peggy's watching. Well, I think I better be at least close to being correct on this.
You walk down her little rose lane, and I have to tell you, it's just simply amazing.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
All right. And then we also have National Alphabet Magnet Day. Remember? And I don't know if they do this. I don't see this much anymore, but we used to do it when we had kids in the house. And, you get those magnet letters, you put them on the fridge. And then, people spell out little, phrases and sayings and things like that. And mostly the idea is to say something encouraging, maybe something clever, never something nasty.
Yeah.
And then you can see how your kids are spelling. Like what? But I don't see magnetic letters anymore. So if you have them, enjoy. National Military Spouse Appreciation Day.
Okay.
Always observed on the Friday before Mother's Day. It recognizes the significant contributions, support, and sacrifices made by the spouses of the men and women of the armed forces. It's sometimes referred to as Military Spouse Day, and our hats off to you.
Amen.
National Provider Appreciation Day, National Child Care Provider Day. So, that is huge. We want to take care of our kids. And this special day recognizes child care providers, teachers, and other educators of young children everywhere.
All right.
And one thing to eat, I put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on it because it is National Butterscotch Brownie Day. Recognizing a delicious treat, butterscotch brownies, also known as blondies or brookies, brownie plus cookie, debuted. Did you know these brownies debuted before chocolate brownies? Recipes for non-chocolate brownies or bar cookies, which are more akin to what we know as blondies or butterscotch brownies, appeared before recipes for chocolate brownies. Some sources suggest these date back to the late 19th century, one of the earliest published brownie recipes appearing in Fanny Farmer's Boston Cooking School book in 1896. It did not contain chocolate, and it used molasses as a sweetener. So there you go. It's blondies. Butterscotch Brownie Day.
Well,
That's getting a tepid response. Well,
I feel cheated eating one of those.
Where's the chocolate?
Yeah. Where's the beef?
Yes.
No, they're okay.
Yeah.
They're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's all that's there, then you grab it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, but if the other one's alongside, it'll go first.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right, well, here's the guy that just knows how to say love in a whole new dimension.
We will continue to see dry conditions and even warmer temperatures. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly to mostly sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid-70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville with a light northwest wind. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with partly sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a calm wind becoming northwest around 5 miles per hour this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and upper 70s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 89. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny from Coos Bay with a high near 65, through Port Orford and Brookings in the mid to upper 50s, mostly cloudy in Crescent City, California with a high near 59. In southern Oregon, partly sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 80 in Ashland, also near 80 in the Klamath Basin under mostly sunny skies. Into northern California, partly sunny and low to mid-80s around Wairika, temperatures climbing into the low 90s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento under sunny to mostly sunny skies. In the Bay Area, sunny with highs in the mid-80s for Santa Rosa and Napa, sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 26 miles per hour, and today in San Jose, sunny and 88. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, and we have some clouds out there, but the temperatures are still going to be very pleasant, and we could see some rain by Sunday. We'll see how this develops. The percentages goes up and down, and down.
Yeah,
but, anyway, nice
springtime.
weather. Yeah.
Springtime, Southern Oregon. Well, we have some encouragement this morning with the Reverend Billy Graham looking at life's choices.
Jesus said, "What shall a man profit if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" And all the way through the Bible, you find choices made between the things of the world and the things of God. Moses had to make that choice. He had to make the choice between all the wealth of Egypt and all the power of Egypt as an heir to the throne of Egypt. And he had to turn his back on it and follow Christ. Abraham had to turn his back on all he had ever known to go to find a city whose builder and maker was God by faith. And then there's secret sins that become obstacles to coming to Christ. The scripture says, "Cleanse thou me from secret sins." You see, man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. He knows what goes on inside your heart. He knows what you're imagining, what you're thinking, what you're fantasizing. He knows the things you're lusting for. He knows the evil thoughts and the pride and the jealousy and the greed that's in your heart. And he judges by what he sees inside, not just what he sees on the outside. And how many of you are members of the church in good standing? Officers in the church, Sunday school teachers. But down deep inside, you know that your heart is just as dark as some of the worst sinners in town. And you know you're a hypocrite and you're ashamed of it. You don't know what to do about it. And you wish that somehow you could find peace and you haven't been able to find it. Make your commitment to Christ tonight and say, "Lord, forgive me. I want to come back to you. I once knew you. I once knew the joy of Christ. But somehow I've lost that joy and I'd like to find it again."
Wow.
Well, to your point, any doubt that he is Anne Graham Lotz's father?
There is no doubt. Yeah, it is.
Any doubt that he's Franklin Graham's father?
Exactly. I just see, I hear them and I hear him.
You hear him.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really
and
is.
you know what? The message is the same.
Simple message.
Yep.
All right, good morning to you. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Well, of course, the big one is there is a pope. After 4 votes, they ended up electing Cardinal Robert Francis Provost from Chicago, and he was now going to be Leo the 14th. And so the first indication was the cardinal that came out there was an American cardinal that did the announcement. And that was kind of like a giveaway. You could hear the commentary when this cardinal came out, and you kind of go, what's going on here? Okay, but even though he was reading in Italian. But anyway, so here comes Cardinal Robert Francis Provost. He's going now to be known as Pope Leo the 14th. There is much to be said about him. And I don't think he was Pope an hour. And my email box filled up with things that were, did you know this about them? He's one of these, he's one of those, he's one of these, he's one of, come on, folks. Give the guy a break.
Do we know who he is yet?
Well,
I mean, with all this coming in?
There is a couple of things.
Okay.
He is a registered Republican in Chicago.
I heard something about this. Yes.
Okay. Now, he may be liberal, like on the border.
Right.
Because he's a missionary.
Yeah.
And missionaries always want.
They're no border people. Yeah.
No, they want. They have this. Well, nobody understands the heart of a missionary, where you give up everything to go to a country that you don't understand to witness to people that can't understand what you're saying. So anyway, that's the heart of a missionary. But he's really well educated. He speaks fluent Italian, Spanish, English. He has got a law degree. He's theologically understands everything. There's a couple of indications. One is obviously he's a registered Republican. I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't know why we even say that, but he is. The other thing is he could be open border, but he could be very, very, very strong pro-life.
That's what I hear he is, right.
Yeah, he's really on the side of pro-life. Right. So we'll see.
And the Catholic Church traditionally has been. Yeah.
His appearance was not in an all-white outfit like Pope Francis was, and apparently that was a signal of humility. I want to be common,
right? Which was unusual.
Unusual.
Yeah.
So Pope Leo comes out, and he is in the garb of a traditional pope.
Yes.
Which is a little bit of an indication that he's going to be more of a traditionalist.
Maybe.
So the only thing I can say is, man, I tell you, I got bombarded.
That's interesting. All right.
By the end of yesterday, I'm looking at this. So what? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we all want to know.
Yeah.
But man, let's see how he governs.
Yeah.
Give him a break.
Yep.
But it was tough. All right. Anyway, in the meantime, one of the big stories is the Attorney General in New York. Apparently, the DOJ has gone after her. And Representative Stefanik, she was going to be the next ambassador to the UN. She came back. She's now in the House. She runs one of the committees. And she said that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, she's pretty strong on the fact that they're going to investigate New York Attorney General James for the mortgage fraud. Well, apparently this has got more to it. Apparently there are some other mortgages that she's been involved in where she lied.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Now, isn't it interesting about this?
What?
This is the very thing she tried to pin on President Trump.
That is absolutely true, yeah.
Where he supposedly made up information to get loans.
Right, in a business deal that everybody was satisfied in, that the bank got repaid with interest, that they didn't miss a payment. Everything was, above board. Yeah. And yet she went in there and went after him. And, she got a conviction, but they're appealing.
So here's the deal. What happens to an attorney general that gets convicted?
Same thing as anybody else, isn't it?
You would think so.
I don't know. Yeah.
But this is about as embarrassing as it gets. And so anyway, we'll see where it goes.
Well,
but
of course-
apparently it's now made its way over to the DOJ, and they've decided to investigate it.
Right.
So I don't know if this ends up in subpoenas. I would imagine that it does.
And of course, you know what their defense is. It was all retribution.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They just singled me out because I went after him.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So as you know, the President and Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, said no to transgender in the military.
Yes.
Well, apparently in June, they're coming out.
Oh, they have to get out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I would imagine.
All right.
I don't know if they get a dishonorable discharge. Do they get an honorable discharge? But they're going to be weeded out of the military. This is huge.
Yeah.
And guess
Well,
what?
what?
The Supreme Court backed them on that.
Good. Now, I hope they don't dishonorably discharge them because they were in there because of the last administration.
Yeah.
So they didn't do anything wrong. They were just, doing what they could get away with,
Right.
and the last administration did. So let them ease out gently, hopefully not dishonorably, but it's time to move them out.
Yeah, I think you make a good point because to be dishonorably discharged, you really have to do something.
Yeah.
So they could be. I don't know if there's another discharge where we agree, you go your way, we go ours.
Yeah, just
As a
amiable
release.
parting of the ways.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
But apparently, here's the interesting thing: they have to be identified, and they'll start removing them in June.
Okay.
I would imagine they have some kind of a record.
Well, I would. Yes. Well,
And wouldn't it be biological, especially if? I mean, come on, give me a break. Somebody's got to go to the
It's
doctor's
got to be a
office
record,
here.
all right.
Somebody's got to go to the doctor's office.
Oh, that opens a can of worms.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, that just some of the headlines this morning. There's a couple more we'll share with you a little bit later.
I
but,
wonder how many people are involved in this. We haven't heard any numbers, have we?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, there's two other things about the military. They're getting a budget cut, and Secretary Hegseth is saying that he's going to reduce the amount of generals across the branches of military. In other words, very heavy at the top.
Yeah.
He wants to concentrate more on readiness.
Military readiness. What a concept. For
Not
the-
only
yeah.
with the equipment
Yes.
and munitions, but also their physical ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
What a concept for the military.
Yeah.
Military readiness.
I don't know. Look, there's more things that I think part of. Well, I don't want to. There's so many comments here.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, because sometimes we see in military leadership, we saw it in the last administration where there were a lot of people in the higher echelon that were very woke. And you wonder, how does this happen in the U.S. military? And you think, is there something going on in the education of these people, that there's a weak link somewhere? Well, maybe there is, because did you see that there was a professor at West Point that in protest is resigning, and Pete Hegseth basically said, good riddance.
Yeah, basically, you won't be missed.
Get out. Yeah, you won't be missed, right. Yeah. So I look and I think, is this where some of this comes from, some of the instruction they're getting in some of the higher levels of military education, whether it be at West Point or, say, the Air Force Academy or some of the others? I wonder.
Well, you have to, this is going to be a big deal across the board. And again, we're not even 6 months into a new administration. So if there's 1,000 of these people that are shown the door, and then you got a bunch of generals that are going to come off the top, and you go through all of the branches, this is going to be the shakeup. You remember the last Joint Chief of Staff? He went missing. He went AWOL.
Oh, Austin, Lloyd Austin, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And here he is in the hospital, and nobody knew where he was.
Yes.
The military.
Yeah, right.
The military.
Right.
That was an indication. Is our intelligence really intelligent? We don't even know where the top brass is.
Better ask Israel's Secret Service. They will know.
Anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
New days everywhere. Okay, don't forget Mom's Day. Buy her a mower. She'll love it. We'll be right back.
to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? When you want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life, call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The Bible, when you think about it, is the ultimate group project. Think about this. It was written by over 40 different authors over a period of 1,500 years. Authors came from various countries. Most of them didn't know one another. They used a variety of styles, and yet it all fit together perfectly. It has one unified theme, and that theme is Jesus Christ.
Okay, welcome back. Happy Friday to you. Well, we have smart staff around here. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Nancy. Here's the deal with the separation of transgenders in the military. There's approximately 1,000 service members self-identify as being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, according to the Pentagon.
Wow.
Those troops will have 30 days to leave the military voluntarily.
Okay.
All right. If on active duty, they have 60 days. If they are in what they call reverse components, and so they have, if they're active, they have 60 days. If they're inactive, they have 30. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then the Defense Department will proceed with processing for involuntary separation after those periods of time.
Okay.
So it's not an honorable and it's not a dishonorable.
Good. All right.
It's kind of like, here's the door, have a nice day.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, a couple things more local and regional here. The first local one is, after a 4-year hiatus, the downtown Medford will be alive with color and creativity and community spirit this weekend as the Art in Bloom returns.
Oh, yeah.
For its 20th anniversary after a 4-year break. This will be in downtown Medford. Starting tomorrow from 11 till 5. And this was hiatus through COVID and all that stuff. But it returns. So it's a fun thing to do. Go down, have fun, pet a turtle.
Okay.
Do what you want to do. So it's a little backyard bragging, but I have to tell you, that it's cool.
Yeah, it should be nice.
I still hope someday that our city managers and people will say that this whole thing with the parking in the middle of the street is a dumb idea,
right?
And get rid of it.
Yeah.
Gosh,
where did that come from? That plan?
I don't know. That's my opinion. It may be successful. I don't know, but
yeah.
Have you tried to do it?
No, I stay away from downtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's actually pretty nice down there.
Okay.
All right. With the new hotel coming in next to Lithia.
Oh, I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're building this new big hotel just north of the Lithia Center there. That'll be revitalized. That'll replace the old Red Lion and all that. And that's going to revive restaurants and things down there. So I think there's a move for downtown that's kind of cool.
I like it.
All right, this is kind of interesting. President Trump, we were talking earlier, only he can take somebody that he nominates and decide that he's not going to nominate him anymore.
He unnominates him,
and gets rid of him.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday, right at the end of the day, President Trump taps Fox News Judge Jeannie Pirro. Is she talking there?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, she just now is going to be the interim U.S. attorney, and she'll be leaving the Five and Fox Network to deal with this. Now, she has quite the sterling record as a judge.
She sure does.
And she's a tough gal. But Judge Jeannie is going to be the new U.S. attorney temporarily. Now, does this turn into permanency? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah.
Can you imagine her before committee going through some kind of hearing?
Oh, no nonsense. Yeah.
Confirmation hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a pretty tough gal.
She is.
But she's known President Trump for years. They've been friends. And he reached out and tapped her to become the new U.S. attorney.
I like it, yeah.
Now, look,
Yeah.
she's so mega.
She is so mega, yes.
That you kind of wonder, what's going to happen here?
Well, I think nothing but good. I really do. I like her. I think she's a force.
Well, if the host of The Apprentice can become president of the United States, why can't the co-host of The Five become the U.S. attorney?
Yes. Oh, golly. Interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah. By the way, there is one other little thing. You know, we have an election going on with school boards and some other things, and fire districts and water districts and all that. Have you seen your ballot?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you how important school districts are. It's so important that the Democratic Party has put out their own sheet. I know these things happen because I managed a party for 4 years, but this caught my attention. This is put out by the local Democratic Party. Beware of religious extremist candidates.
Oh, my goodness. Really?
And it names three of them.
Oh, man.
And puts their names in a special color so that when you see them on the ballot, you don't vote for them.
Really? Oh, man.
But here's how they're identified. Not as citizens who are concerned about their children.
Okay.
But as religious extremists.
Extremists. And they put names?
Right there.
Yeah. Oh, there they are.
I'm not going to read the names.
No.
Because,
no, good. Good for you. All right.
I do know that if you're in the backyard of Medford here, you can go to Mountain Church. In fact, we have it here. You could call us and we can maybe figure out a way to email it to you. But they did the research Mountain Church did with one of their social community committees, and they interviewed all the people running for school board, and they did a spreadsheet on them, which is really cool. It's a great resource. So you want to know who to vote for, we can send you that sheet. But apparently, according to the local Democratic Party, beware of religious extremists. I mean, this is about as raw as it gets, folks.
Yeah, it is. And they're just...
And I normally would never do something like this, but when we're be called religious extremists, have a nice day and go soak your head somewhere. You know? And they're actually naming them and sending it out.
And
they're more active. Why school boards? It's obvious why school boards.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where you shape the next generation.
Right, yeah. Oh,
So, anyway, sorry I had to do that, but I felt like we needed.
Well, I'm glad you did. I mean, people need to be aware.
I don't like doing stuff like that, but I got to tell you, when I saw that we're being identified as religious extremists and somehow we're disqualified from serving the community, have a nice day. You know?
When they throw stuff like this around, now these, I would assume, are Bible-believing Christians.
Yeah.
Do they use any or give any examples of the extremism in statements or actions or anything else? Do they just throw this out?
Yeah, just throw it out.
Yeah, right.
Anybody that believes in life, anybody that believes in family, traditional values, believes that the Bible is the inerrant Word of God. I mean, we are now, according to the local Democratic Party, we are religious extremists.
Yep.
Well, have a nice day. That does get under my skin a little bit. Sorry about that one.
It's all right.
Anyway, take a look at the satellite image. That'll cool you down.
Yeah, it will.
Okay.
A little bit.
We do see some stuff out there. And as it swirls around, this is the Leon. This is the Leon picture. If you look at that picture, the upper system turns and goes north. counterclockwise, the lower system turns and goes south clockwise, right at the state border.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, we'll see some activity towards the end of the weekend.
Maybe we'll see some clouds gathering Saturday night, and maybe a little activity Sunday into Monday, and maybe lingering into Tuesday morning. We'll see. Hoping for a little bit more.
There we go.
I got grass seed.
Okay.
I'm trying to reclaim some of my weeds.
Mow it.
Yeah, baby.
Mow it and bag it.
We're going to do it. All right. Well, this is interesting. This is when we deal with issues of eminent domain. I always kind of reel when I know that's coming, because it means somebody's taking something from someone else and intending to use it over here. They're going to buy it, but do they buy it at market values? Eminent domain is a touchy subject. But Chad Prather, host of the Chad Prather Show, joined Newsmax's Carl Higby, and he commented on the use of eminent domain being used by energy giant to take private property and build a power plant. Let's listen.
Well, hey, Carl, John Locke is rolling over in his grave. I mean, his principles of freedom, life, liberty, and property, I mean, that's been made obsolete with property taxes and these types of land grabs. So I appreciate you talking about this. And I saw you working on your farm. I saw you working on your house on Instagram and stuff. I wouldn't try to come take anything from you, Carl. Like, you bend me in half, dude. And I know the pride that people have for their land. I mean, it's a generational thing. It's a legacy thing. And yeah, sure, there's energy needs out there. Those are real, but so is consent. So is private property. That's a real thing. So is the fundamental American principle that the government serves the people and not the other way around. Look, the TVA using the eminent domain thing, threatening residents with the idea that they have no choice. Listen, that's authoritarianism. That's not American. It's about, that's not about serving the public. That's about convenience, control, and corporate-style expansion at the expense of the very citizens that the agency claims to serve. So it's not about a power plant. It's about power over people, and it's disgusting.
I'm wondering, with the move that's now heading across the country of reducing the influence of government in our lives, long term will put a cap on real estate property taxes.
I wonder, because it is a couple, a man and woman, together by themselves. They can spend their entire life raising their kids, paying their mortgage, working hard, paying off their mortgage. Everything is taken care of, and then still lose their property to the government because of property taxes.
Yeah, I'm really thinking that I don't know if it would be a national referendum. I applaud Representative Christine Drazen in the House here in Oregon starting this process. But the bottom line is, my argument's always been that your property taxes, at least at this point, should be frozen at the age of 65.
At least.
Frozen, no graduation, just frozen at that rate, and that follows you wherever you go, so that you can budget your fixed income in your later years of life.
Right.
I can't tell you, even family members, that gradually had to sell down to nothing because of taxes.
Right.
And it's just not right.
Yeah. And then you
don't own your home, you're renting the land.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, you're renting your land from the government.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just crazy. All right, so much for that complaint. Man, we got a few of them here today.
We're going on a Friday, aren't we?
Well, we need 2 days off. We'll be right back.
Tradition like no other. The Central Point Wild Road Pro Rodeo, presented by Country Financial, is set to be the ride of a lifetime.
This isn't just any rodeo. This is where legends are made. See many of the nation's top 20 cowboys and cowgirls compete on National Finals rodeo stop, right here at the home of the only 100-point bull ride. Barrels, bareback, broncs, tie-down roping, team roping, and of course, bulls. Mark your calendars. The Wild Road Pro Rodeo hits the expo in Central Point May 15th through the 17th.
Co-op, where big ideas grow. Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way, with fire danger biting at its heels. Flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Okay, welcome back. By the way, before we go to CBN News, there is a breaking story that retired U.S. Supreme Court Justice David Souter has passed away at the age of 85. He served on the court for 19 years, and he was appointed by former President George H.W. Bush in 1990. He retired after 19 years of service, and he passed away late yesterday afternoon. Supreme Court Justice David Souter, gone at 85. All right, let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you for joining us for CBN News Watch. It is Friday, May 9th, 2025. I want to begin this half hour with the Vatican electing a new pope, and this time history is made. Robert Prevost of Chicago becomes the first American to lead the Roman Catholic Church, taking the name Leo XIV. CBN's Brody Carter reports on the Vatican City's new pontiff and his global mission.
A rousing cheer from St. Peter's Square greeted the new pontiff as Catholic cardinals broke tradition and elected 69-year-old Robert Prevost, a Chicago-born missionary to Peru, as the first American pope.
Prevost was not the person we thought was going to be coming out on the balcony, so it was a big surprise.
In an interview on CBN's Faith Nation, Father Thomas Reese, a senior analyst with Religion Service, said Prevost spent 2 decades in Peru ministering in a diocese he would eventually lead, an experience that shaped his path to the papacy.
The Latin American cardinals seem to have liked him very much, so that they looked on him as one of their own, not a gringo. And I think their support was very decisive in electing him as Pope.
Prevost was brought to Rome in 2023 to lead the office that vets bishops worldwide, one of the most powerful roles in the Church. Now, as Pope Leo XIV, his priorities closely mirror Francis, blending social concern with theological tradition.
He will be totally in line with Pope Francis's concern about justice, peace, and protecting the environment. I think that's part of the DNA of the papacy today. So he's going to be very concerned about the plight of migrants, of refugees. He's going to be calling on people to pay attention to all the starving people in the world. And he's going to be very strong in speaking out for peace.
A message welcomed by many, even as it challenges others within the U.S. Church. The historic election of the first American pope sparked reactions across the globe, including questions about what his national origin might mean for the Vatican's global role.
We're leaning towards someone with a perspective from other parts of the world, and America certainly has a lot of power in the world, and I thought they might not want that concentration of power, but from everything I've heard, they've chosen a really good man who loves God and wants to do the right thing.
To see the news, was unexpected. I thought it was going to be a European or maybe someone else, but this is great news. He's young, he's 69, so hopefully he gives us some length and has a great run.
Pope Leo celebrated his first public mass today in the Sistine Chapel, with a media address scheduled Monday. His first possible foreign trip could come later this month to Turkey, marking a key milestone in early Christian history, the 1700th anniversary of the First Council of Nicaea. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Turn now to the Middle East. Israel is following through on its pledge to close United Nations schools for Palestinian children as Israel seems to be left standing alone against the Houthis. Meanwhile, a new survey shows half of Gazans approve of Hamas's October 7th attack. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more now. She reports from Jerusalem.
Israel's crackdown on UNRWA, working in the Jewish nation, now includes closing 6 schools in mostly Arab eastern Jerusalem. Students and teachers arrived Thursday to find the schools locked up for the foreseeable future.
When I hugged the teachers goodbye, I started crying because I didn't know which school I'd go to, where I would continue learning.
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency runs much of the education system for Palestinian children, but analysts in Israel say it's teaching those kids to be anti-Israel and pro-terrorist. David Bedin of the Center for Near East Policy Research has been exposing the Palestinian curriculum and UNRWA summer camps for decades. In an earlier interview with CBN News, he showed a page from a textbook UNRWA uses featuring a female terrorist.
This is Dalal al-Mughrabi, who murdered 36 Jews in a terror attack in 1978. And she's glorified in this book, and there's a whole curriculum for her, run by UNRWA.
Bedin says the curriculum is teaching the children to murder Jews and has 3 main points.
1, delegitimization of Israel's existence and the Israel's Jews' very presence in the country. 2, demonization of both Jews and Israelis. And 3, the absence of any call for peace.
Wow. All right, well, we'll see how this all plays out. I think we just need to give the new pope some time to see where they're going to lead and go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here's a guy that's never confused about who he is, where he's going, and what he eats.
We will continue to see dry conditions and even warmer temperatures. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly to mostly sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid-70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville with a light northwest wind. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with partly sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a calm wind becoming northwest around 5 miles per hour this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and upper 70s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 89. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny from Coos Bay with a high near 65, through Port Orford and Brookings in the mid to upper 50s, mostly cloudy in Crescent City, California with a high near 59. In southern Oregon, partly sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 80 in Ashland, also near 80 in the Klamath Basin under mostly sunny skies. Into northern California, partly sunny and low to mid-80s around Wairika, temperatures climbing into the low 90s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento under sunny to mostly sunny skies. In the Bay Area, sunny with highs in the mid-80s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 26 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny and 88. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
Beautiful shot of southern Oregon. A little bit of a cloud cover here today. It'll burn off. It'll be sunshine, and then you'll be in and out of this pattern till the weekend, where it actually will stick around and could produce some burning drops.
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Well, it was on this day in history that a holiday was made official, dedicated to our beloved mothers.
On May 9, 1914, President Woodrow Wilson issues a presidential proclamation that officially establishes the first National Mother's Day holiday to celebrate America's mothers. The idea for a Mother's Day is credited by some to Julia Ward Howe back in 1870 and by others to Anna Jarvis, who spearheaded the Mother's Day movement in 1907. Many individual states celebrated Mother's Day by 1911, but it wasn't until Wilson lobbied Congress in 1914 that Mother's Day was officially set on the second Sunday of every May. In his first Mother's Day proclamation, Wilson stated that the holiday offered a chance to publicly express our love and reverence for the mothers of our country.
Well,
About that, yeah.
Yes. Did they have zero-turn mowers in those days to buy, Mom?
You know, I've actually given Pam fresh salmon for Mother's Day.
Oh, good for you. I know you have. I miss you being on the river.
I know, but
in fact, I got an email from Hal Short the other day.
Oh, gosh.
Our former president of UCBI. And he lives in New Zealand. And he said, has Jerry caught any salmon lately? He said, I'm kind of just envying seeing it on the Barbie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, anyway, Mother's Day this Sunday. Treat Mom something special.
Yeah.
Do something special. You know, it doesn't take a lot. It just takes something.
Yeah.
To let your mom know and your wife know that she's special. All right, PragerU interviewed Rowan Osman, and she tells her story of how she changed from being an enemy of the Jews to an ally.
When I was a child, we could sometimes, when we played with the antenna, receive a signal from an Israeli TV. We couldn't care less if it was biblical cartoon, if it was Hebrew. But if a grown-up walked into the room, they would freak out. So we associated Hebrew with the language of the enemy. We associated Hebrew with taboo. Politicians, famous journalists, news anchors, wise people, your parents, your teachers, everybody's telling you the Israelis, the Jews, the Zionists are our enemies. We had no interactions with Jews, none whatsoever. The first 18 years of my life, I spent in Lebanon, but eventually I landed in France. So I landed in Strasbourg, and on the first day, I went across the street to a small grocery store. They were speaking a language I knew. It was Hebrew. When I turned and saw religious men with sideburns, dressed in white and black, big beards, I panicked. I dropped my stuff, crossed the street, ran up to the third floor, locked my bedroom door. I was sharing the same space with the enemy for the first time ever, and it was overwhelming. It was my first day in France, and I was going to spend at least a year there. And I realized nothing instigated a panic attack except what was inside my brain. Because in the Arab world, we have anti-normalization laws and policies, and it forbids the citizens of these countries from interacting with Israelis. And if you are found guilty of collaborating with a Zionist or an Israeli, the consequences can be severe. But I realized that I'm not collaborating with Israel if I say hello to a Jew. And I was thinking they didn't even look at you. But also I left my stuff in the store and I had to go back and collect it. So I decided to compose myself to return. I continued shopping, and the owner was Jewish. And he asked me when I came to pay where I came from. And I told him, Lebanon, Syria. And he understood when I said it was my first day that I panicked because I understood they were Jews. And he was pleasant and very nice and helped me with my bags. And I continued shopping there, and I realized years later that this man, although he didn't mean to, he converted me from an enemy to an ally through kindness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anybody's heart can be changed.
Yeah, but it's interesting, the culture. I was watching her and I was thinking about a friend of Pam's and mine from our days in New York. And she was brought up in Syria and she converted to Christianity and then immigrated to the United States.
Wow.
And it was interesting because we got to learn a little bit about her culture, and her husband was an American Syrian. But one of the things that she had grown up with before her conversion, but stuck with her after her conversion, was a hatred of Jews. It's amazing how ingrained it is in the, and she talked about laws in their culture that, make it, illegal to, even have a relationship. So, these things run so deep, and it's hard for us here to understand how deep it really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
The great mystery to me is that Jews are the exception to all means of Inclusiveness. Let's be inclusive with everything and everybody but the Jew.
Yeah. Right.
That's the hypocrisy of the left, especially at these universities.
And they rolled out yesterday again, and now we see at least the New York City Police Department are coming in, and they're saying enough of this nonsense, and they're clearing them out.
Yeah, the school needs to shut down. Hey, 11 minutes before the hour. Hey, happy Friday, Mother's Day. Candy.
Yeah.
May I recommend See's Candy?
Nuts and Chews?
Well, that's my favorite. Now, Mom might like the soft center.
Yeah.
You know, but when you go into See's Candy, tell them Perry sent you. Because every once in a while I get a freebie. We'll be right back.
For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. I'll be a witness in the silences when words are not.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
In the heart of the Rogue Valley, RVTD connects us all, not just through miles traveled, but also through time. 50 years ago, public transportation laid the foundation for growth in Southern Oregon. These early buses didn't just carry passengers, they carried progress, connecting communities and fueling dreams. Today, RVTD moves with the pulse of the Rogue Valley. More than just a bus ride, it's a lifeline for workers, students, and families, ensuring access for all to jobs, schools, and essential services. With renewable technologies and more convenient ways to get around, RVTD's building a future that keeps our region connected. Public transportation isn't just about getting from here to there. It's about the journey. Join RVTD as they build on their legacy of sustainability, innovation, and community. Rogue Valley Transportation District, celebrating 50 years of moving our community forward.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
It's National Wear Your Pajamas to Work Day.
That's a uniform at Walmart.
Enjoy, put on your nicest flannels or whatever you got.
Would you do yourself a favor, too?
What?
Would you at least take a shower, wash your face, brush your teeth, and comb your hair if you're going to go to work in your PJs? Just don't get out of the sack and go down there.
I thought you were talking to me directly.
Wake up to fun. Mornings on the Dove. Weekdays only on the Dove TV.
Hey, welcome back. Happy Friday. Going into Mother's Day. Yahoo. Okay. By the way, another place you can go to is Four Seasons and buy your mom a hanging basket.
Oh, baby. Yeah, we've done that one.
Okay, Tim, you owe me lunch.
And they are good baskets.
Oh, they really are.
Man.
The Christian Institute, which is a Christian ministry there in Newcastle, England, reports on the life of a Christian hero of a Holocaust to be honored, but in a special way, in a film for Scottish high school students.
The life of a Christian heroine of the Holocaust is to be honoured in a film for Scottish high school students in Renfrewshire. Commissioned by Unison, the documentary tells the story of Jane Haining, a Scottish missionary and matron of a girls' home at the Jewish Mission School in Budapest. At the outbreak of the Second World War, Haining refused to abandon the Jewish girls in her care, informing her sending church, "If these children need me in days of sunshine, how much more do they need me in days of darkness?" Following the invasion of Hungary by Hitler's forces in 1944, Haining was betrayed, arrested, and transported to a Nazi concentration camp, where she died 3 months later at the age of 47. Haining was declared a British hero of the Holocaust by the UK government in 2010. Commenting on the resource, her niece Deirdre McDowell's paid tribute to Haining's strong Christian faith. She felt that as long as she had God with her and followed Christ's teachings, she would be all right, and that was her maxim throughout her life.
Well, we'll see how this turns out.
Yeah.
What a great movie.
Yeah.
All right.
What you got coming up?
I've got Lord Conrad Black. I like talking to him. He actually is he's been crowned over there in England.
Well, he's a lord.
He's a lord, yeah. Anyway, we'll be talking about all kinds of things and discussing the recent headlines and explore the power of faith leadership and how it shaped Western culture.
All right. Well, I don't know if you realize, but the NBA playoffs are going on. I don't watch much NBA action these days, but there are still some things that draw me in, that interest me, and here is one of them, because the New York Knicks are playing the Boston Celtics, and the first two games were in Boston Garden in Boston, and the Knicks have been deemed to have not a chance in this.
Oh.
Not a chance. In fact, anyway, but what I like is when people get involved and say, this is a done deal. They predict who's going to win, and then they say, if they don't win, I'm going to do this.
Okay.
And here is a great case in point. Check this out.
Former Celtics great and current broadcaster Paul Pierce was so confident of his team in Game 2 of the NBA playoffs against the New York Knicks, he said he would walk to work barefoot in my robe if they lost for a second straight game in the second-round series. He declared on an FS1 show Wednesday, if the Celtics lose Game 2 at home, I promise you I am walking here tomorrow. I guarantee this one. Put the house on this game. But it didn't turn out so great. The Celtics blew a 20-point lead in Game 2 as they did in Game 1 and lost 91-90. Pierce appeared to honor his vow, saying he set out before the sun rose for what he said was a 20.2-mile commute to work in the Los Angeles area. He posted updates on Instagram Live. It was unclear whether he was actually barefoot, but bathrobed? Yep. Just after 5 a.m., he said, all right, time for me to get to steppin', calling himself a man of my word. After another update, and a little before 9 a.m., Pierce posted another live update of a couple of hecklers on the sidewalk. Pierce took it all in stride, having some fun with them. He said he was about halfway at that point. The series now moves to Madison Square Garden in New York on Saturday with the Knicks up 2-0, and we'll keep an eye on Pierce to see if he makes any more predictions.
Do you ever predict games?
No.
Me neither. No.
I mean, why?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you might have to walk to work 20 miles.
Well, not only that, but you ever predict the election of a pope?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
All right, take Isaiah 40, verse 31. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. The question is, do you wait for the Lord? Oh, that word wait.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. No. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in, we weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the Trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Sekolo on the Dove TV. A bold half hour taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom. Be in the know with Sekolo on the Dove TV. Transformed is a groundbreaking series that every week takes you behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people facing real issues. Watch Mondays and Thursdays only on the Dove TV. Hunters, where the true target is the truth of the gospel. Watch Twin Factor weekends on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Well, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. And just about anything said goes here. You know, this is where we make it up, we advance conspiracies, and we tell you the truth. You just have to figure out which one's which. That's all you have to do. And then I'm here to interpret what he says.
Yeah, thank you very much. We all need an interpreter.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Friday. We are heading into Mother's Day. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather, but Mother's Day could see a little sprinkle. We'll see, at least in our backyard. We'll talk a little bit about that. All kinds of news. There's a new pope. What a surprise. Apparently he was on somebody's list, but he wasn't on the list they published. But he got through on vote 4 within a day and a half. That was pretty interesting how fast all that went. And he's an American. What does that mean? Well, it's yet to be kind of sifted out. We'll talk about that.
Chicago. Pope from Chicago.
Yeah.
How about that?
Leo,
yeah.
I called him Louis, and I didn't mean to do that. Well, you know what? I wasn't the first one. A couple of other people yesterday, I was going through the channels trying to figure out who's saying what.
Yeah.
And a couple of people did call him Louis.
No kidding.
And I think, well, okay, he speaks Italian and he's from Chicago. Okay. Hey, Louis.
Hey, Louis.
Hey, Louis.
Welcome to the papacy.
Hey, Louis. Thanks to the big spot.
Welcome to the Vatican.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to be disrespectful here, but it is kind of funny. But he's Leo the 14th. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Nice.
What's going on, buddy?
All right. It's National Knockout Rose Day.
All right.
On the Friday before Mother's Day. It's an interesting, I guess, breed of roses that was developed in the early 90s. It is it has iconic clusters of deep pink blooms, but I'm sure it's a big day for flower sellers coming into this weekend. If you haven't bought yours, get them reserved. National Alphabet Magnet Day, when, remember the old days, we'd put a little bit letters on the fridge, and kids would come out there and you check their spelling skills and put little positive little messages, and that's a good deal, but I don't see much of that anymore. I don't know if there's a digital version of it, but there's the old-fashioned one. National Military Spouse Appreciation Day, and of course recognizing the significant contributions, support, and sacrifices made by spouses of the men and women in armed forces, and our hats off to you. Also National Provider Appreciation Day, special day recognizing child care providers, teachers, and other educators of young children everywhere. I appreciated you when my kids were little, and I appreciate you probably even a little more now that you're doing it with my grandkids. So thank you very much. And National Butterscotch Brownie Day, a delicious treat known as blondies or brookies, and these are older than chocolate brownies. The recipes for these first appeared in 1896, and there was no mention of chocolate brownies. They developed later, and that was a good development, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, enjoy your brownies, whether you want them with ice cream or just like you see it right there on the screen. But I also have one other fun fact for us.
What?
Yeah. Did you know that before PCs and laptops, you probably know this because you maybe used one. I grew up in the day of them, but everybody typed on typewriters. Oh, yeah. That was the first typing experience. Oh, yeah. And the earliest, did you know that the earliest typewriters had alphabetic keys? They were all lined alphabetically. Did you know that the system that we use, QWERTY, that's the that is the setup that we have on our keyboards. QWERTY are letters that were placed randomly. And the reason they placed them randomly was that when people, remember, typewriters they were all mechanical, and the arms brought up the letter. Well, when people typed, when everything was alphabetical, people typed too fast for the mechanisms to keep up with them, and it jammed the letters in so they had to make the letters more difficult to get to slow people down on their keyboards so they didn't jam up the mechanism of the typewriter, and so we live with it today.
I'm glad you said that. I'm wondering where this came from.
Yeah, that's exactly where QWERTY came from, a thoughtful approach to slowing people down on their keyboards.
Isn't it interesting how we trained our brain to do it?
Absolutely, yes. And you want to know something weird? We train our brain so much, I don't know about you, but then if I'm going to look on my keyboard for a letter, I have trouble finding it. I can't hunt and peck. Because it's all muscle memory on my fingers where I go to type words. So, but anyway, QWERTY is a slowdown.
Well, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So court reporters.
Yeah.
That thing
now you're opening a can of worms. I don't have any idea what they're typing on because their thing is narrower, it's longer.
Yeah.
That's a great
I don't know.
point.
It looks like they're trying to play a bad piano. Yeah. I don't know.
Gosh.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. Well, let's check in with a guy. What do you call this thing?
QWERTY.
QWERTY.
Don't call me QWERTY.
We will continue to see dry conditions and even warmer temperatures. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly to mostly sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid-70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville with a light northwest wind. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with partly sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a calm wind becoming northwest around 5 miles per hour this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and upper 70s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 89. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny from Coos Bay with a high near 65, through Port Orford and Brookings in the mid to upper 50s, mostly cloudy in Crescent City, California with a high near 59. In southern Oregon, partly sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 80 in Ashland, also near 80 in the Klamath Basin under mostly sunny skies. Into northern California, partly sunny and low to mid-80s around Wairika. Temperatures climbing into the low 90s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento under sunny to mostly sunny skies. In the Bay Area, sunny with highs in the mid-80s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 26 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny and 88. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
Okay, beautiful shot of southern Oregon. A little bit of a thin high cloud cover this morning. It will give way to sunshine. We're kind of in and out of this pattern, and that's what they call marine air, but I haven't seen a boat fly by yet. Excuse me. So in the meantime, we will see some weather, maybe Mother's Day.
Yeah,
so
it should be. It's okay. We need a little moisture, but hey, here are some familiar words to a lot of people. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he.
Oh.
He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of kids learn that going up through Sunday school and such, but Billy Graham looks at Zacchaeus, trying to get a look at Jesus when he passed by, and he notes that God is doing a work right now in the world.
I can see Zacchaeus trying to get through that crowd. He was a very short man, and I imagine some of the people tried to push him away, and some would stick their foot out and make him stumble and fall. He was trying to run as fast as he could. Probably if he lived today, he'd have an Instamatic camera with him to get a picture of Jesus like my wife does. She has one, and I enjoyed married life before she got it. And I enjoy it now. She made one of me the other day and called it me on Golden Pond. Because I had an old hat and some old specs on, and I was sitting there beside a fish pond, and she took a picture, and she's sending it around now, maybe on a Christmas card, I don't know. And Zacchaeus would have had a tape recorder, and I remember when we were in Hungary, and the first service, we had several thousand people, about 15 or 20,000 people at that first service in the open air outside of Budapest. And when I got through preaching, I heard all these clicks going on. And I turned to my wife, I said, "Are they gnashing their teeth?" And she said, "No, those are tape recorders. Everybody's got a tape recorder." And they were taking the message down, and then they were sending it throughout Eastern Europe, the messages that had been preached. And it was an amazing thing to me in Budapest that you could go to the bookstores and buy my sermons. They put them in book form. And I preached straight gospel sermons just like I'm doing now. God is doing some strange and wonderful and thrilling things throughout the world. Mysterious things, things that pass our understanding. The devil is at work, but so is God at work.
Well,
Instamatic camera.
Instamatic camera
Yes.
and tape recorder.
Oh, gosh.
That was even before cassette tapes, probably.
Yeah,
maybe it was cassette tapes. I don't know.
Yeah.
But look where we are today.
Oh, my goodness.
Everybody would have their phone up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, all right. Good morning to you. 10 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Of course, the big one that's kind of got everybody's brain on tilt is the Catholic Church now has a new pope. Robert Francis Provost, he was elected as Pope Leo XIV. He was not on any of the short lists that was made public, but apparently he was on the short list inside the chapel. And he's the first American pope. He's 69 years old. It's kind of wait and see, but what's so interesting to me, the whole pomp and circumstances, the whole thing with this is so interesting, and the bands and the guards, and you know, it's pretty interesting to watch. But they elected him on the fourth vote, and within a day and a half of the conclave, which is kind of interesting. That's pretty fast, which tells me this might have been pretty much prearranged.
Oh. Well,
because they have to go through and they have to get 2/3, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
And so, who is he? Well, by the end of the day yesterday, I had enough on my computer to tell me that he went from being a saint to being the devil. Gosh, I never seen anything like it in my life. I got so many people telling me he's this, he's not that, he's this, he's that. I go, come on, get him a break, you know.
Oh, man.
He is registered as a Republican in Chicago. Does that tell you anything? I mean, you know, is he a rhino? I mean, what is he?
Well, on the other hand, he was this close to the last pope.
Yes.
They were like, you know, shoulder to shoulder. Does that indicate anything? Because we know, you know, the position of the last pope.
Okay, so today, here we are 24 hours so later, a couple of things. Yes, he was very close to Pope Francis. By the way, he had only been a cardinal not quite a year.
Oh, okay. All right.
Became a cardinal in September of 24. And here he goes from, you know, being a bishop to being a cardinal to being pope, all within about a year and a half. So it appears that he may have been handpicked by Francis.
Yeah, and he's a baby boomer, born in 1955.
Yeah, 69 years old, served most of his beginning days after seminary as a missionary in Peru. He speaks Italian, he speaks Spanish. It's yet to be seen. I think giving a missionary background, you got to give missionaries a break because they're very benevolent in their wanting to love and care for everybody.
Sure, yeah,
and
rightly so. Yeah.
And that's the heart of a missionary.
Yes.
So I think we'll see that. Apparently he's strong pro-life.
Good.
He's weak on borders. That would be the missionary aspect of things. The question is, will he theologically be a traditionalist to the church? And that's yet to be seen. But he did come out in the traditional Pope robes and what do you call the things that go over that?
Yeah.
Forgive me, I should know all that, but I don't. So, which was contrast to Francis, who came out in all white, which was supposedly a symbol of one of the people are being humbled.
Right.
Anyway, Hey, let's give him a break here and give him some time to get his feet on the
let's
ground.
see who he is.
Let's see who he is.
Yeah.
Well, so what's good? But anyway, he wasn't on anybody's list. I think his own brother. We're reading articles this morning where his brother kind of went, "Huh?"
my brother's the Pope.
My younger brother, the Pope. Whoa. Okay. Well, another story is it actually came out quite a while ago, but now it's gaining heat, and that is the U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi has decided to do an investigation against New York Attorney General James. Now, she's the one, as you know, gave headaches to President Trump all through his campaign, brought him up on charges that were just unbelievable. But one of the biggest things she went after him for was giving false information about the value of his properties. And she was trying to get him on that in New York. That case kind of sits out there. Guess what? She got caught doing the same thing. In fact, hers is entirely different because she not only gave false values, she gave false names. She put her father down as her husband. And so this is falsifying records to get real estate loans and things like that. And apparently there's more than one property involved. So the AG is coming down on the AG.
Yeah. Good.
A little AG war is going on there. The military has decided that it will boot the transgender people from the military. Now, here's how it's going to happen. Roughly, there's 1,000 so far that we know of that self-identify as being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, okay, according to the Pentagon. These troops will have 30 days to leave the military voluntarily. If on active duty, they'll be given 60 days, okay? Then the Defense Department said that after that period of time, they'll proceed with the process of involuntary separation. Now, that's not a dishonorable discharge, and it certainly isn't an honorable discharge. It's an agreement that you go your way, we'll go ours. But this will start in June, where transgenders will not be allowed in the military. By the way, this was backed up by the Supreme Court. This is really big.
Yeah, it is. It's huge.
This is the shakeup, and you know what this has resulted in?
What?
One of the highest enlistment seasons we've seen in years.
Yeah, true.
Young men and women are running to the military to be a part of it because it's being restored to its original intent and integrity.
Yes.
So good stuff all the way around.
Very good.
Okay. So blondies.
Yeah, otherwise known as butterscotch brownies or blondies, vanilla ice cream or no?
Well, let me just be honest here.
Uh-oh.
It's not my favorite.
Okay. All right.
They're okay.
Yeah.
I want the chocolate one.
You want, okay.
With ice cream.
A little, and I want the brownie warm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and don't forget, it's Mother's Day.
Yes.
You can go to C's Candy, tell them I sent you. I'm just telling you up front so that I don't get caught on this.
Hey.
When I give a plug, I usually get a reward.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, now that you're mentioning it, do I need to sweeten up a mower with candy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So there's C's Candy. There's Four Seasons Nursery out on Highway 62 for a beautiful hanging basket.
Hanging baskets, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Gave you some ideas. And kids.
Uh-huh.
We'll be right back.
Black Flag Armory offers top brand affordable rifles, shotguns, handguns, and gear. We also offer an array of classes emphasizing safety, self-defense, and accuracy. We strive to provide the absolute best possible experience when buying a firearm. Family friendly for every skill level, Black Flag Armory in Medford and Grants Pass. Online at blackflagarms.com or 541-499-0779. 541-499-0779.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
The Dove is touching lives across our network and around the world.
Thanks for all you do. You are one of the only channels I watch. Love your programs.
Thank you, Dove. Great programs. The Dove is doing the Lord's work. Jesus is the light of the world. God bless you all and the Dove.
Let us know if the Dove has touched your life. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative. Support the Dove at thedove.us.
Hi, good morning to you. Happy Friday. Going into the weekend, Mother's Day. See all those flowers back there? Go out in the field and pick some and take them to Mom. So there you go.
Yeah.
Excuse me, a little bit of a backyard bragging and kind of fun because it's coming back after a 4-year hiatus, and that is the downtown Medford is going to see the Art in Bloom return. So we're pretty excited about this, and we look forward to that. So that'll be from this coming Saturday from from 11 to 5, downtown Medford, in the Lithia Commons area and down through the Main Street. So this is where it's just fun things to do. You can see there, pet a turtle, buy some things, get some food, veggies, fun, all that. So it's returning after a 4-year hiatus, primarily, as you know, it was knocked out because of COVID. So we'll look forward to that. Interesting news, Judge Jeannie Pirro, which is one of the hosts on The Five on the Fox News Network, has been picked by President Trump to be the interim U.S. Attorney in D.C. Now, she has an amazing record as a judge. She's tough, and she has really quite a sterling record, and she's been on the Fox for quite a while, but she's also been a friend of President Trump for quite a few years. And so they had some problems with who's going to be the next U.S. attorney in D.C., so he picked her to be the interim. Well, this means immediately, yesterday was her last day on the Five, and that's the end of that, because now she'll go to work as the interim. Now, the question is, will she become the permanent one for the rest of his administration?
Good question, yeah.
The interesting thing is, if there's anybody that could go before the confirmation hearing and hold her own,
oh boy,
that would be the one.
And that's one of the confirmation hearings I would like to tune into.
I think this would be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
They may just not have the hearing and go ahead and okay her.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Just to prevent themselves from being embarrassed. But this is quite a move.
Yeah.
Now, if you can go from being a co-host on The Five to being the U.S. Attorney in the D.C., gives credence to the fact that you can be the host of The Apprentice and become President of the United States.
From reality TV to the White House. How about
there's
that?
Hope for us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, slim and none.
No, I think, you know what? I think we ought to run for governor.
Okay.
You know, we'd have to come up with a common name.
No.
Because, but if they elected us, they got us both.
They got, okay, a 2 for 1, you know?
Yeah, a twofer.
Yeah, why not?
We could straighten things out pretty fast. Just give me one legislation, one season.
One session, yeah?
One session.
Okay, yeah. I know what we'd fix. I'd go after it right away. I'm looking at property taxes. I'm looking at
that
fire
would be
zones.
That's my first thing.
I'm looking at insurance practices with fire zones.
Yep.
I'm looking at some of the districting that's gone on. How did Bend could be part of Portland?
Hey, you're going down the list. This is good. Let's deregulate business.
Yeah, okay.
And get some high-tech people into the state.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there is a little election going on in May. We have these little mid-year elections, and this one's the one that has a lot of the school boards in it. It has other people like water district, sewer districts. They have various library people. There's a lot of people on the ballot. You probably got your ballot and you don't know a person on there. I would say they're all very important, but the school district ones, the school board ones are really, really important. Now, in our own backyard, Mountain Church, thank you, Pastor Jim, and he has a special community committee that went out and interviewed the people running for the various school boards, and they did put out a voter's guide. We have a copy of it here.
Okay.
I don't know the website, so I can't tell you. I don't think it's on their church website. I think they have another community website for it. But it will kind of give you they ask a bunch of questions, and then the various candidates answered it. Okay, that's being what that is. But the only reason I bring this up is because of one term. Otherwise, I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. But the local Democratic Party has put out their voter's guide.
Yeah.
And I got a copy of it. And here's what they said, and you can read through this thing. This is really unbelievable. Jackson County Democrats seek board members, da-da-da-da. Beware of religious extremist candidates, and they list 3 of them. That's how Christians are being profiled by the left, who want to do nothing more than serve their community and protect their children. They're being put out as beware of religious extremist candidates. Okay, so I'm not comfortable doing this. But at the same time, this really gets under my skin. Because why are we disqualified from being public servants? Why are we disqualified for running for school board? Why are we disqualified for serving in the legislature?
Why are we being disqualified as foster parents by the state? Because we have faith views. And we live our faith.
So, folks, this is the spiritual battle on paper. This is the spiritual battle that we deal with. And there's never been an opportunity where the mood in the country is to push back on the nonsense. I would hope that you take this ballot seriously and start making phone calls. If you don't know who they are, call them, find out. We do have a copy of this here, and I don't know. I think we could scan it to you. It's a guide. We could maybe give you I just don't have it in front of me this morning. I'm sorry. I should have that, and I don't. But this really gets under my skin because look how they profiled 3 people who qualify and want to be there for their children, for themselves, and to serve the community. Being on a school board is like going before a fire squad.
Oh, boy, yeah.
And these people stuck their neck out and they want to do it. And they're being told by the Democrats that they beware of religious extremists. That's how we're being classified.
Well, for some people, let that be an endorsement.
Excuse me. But that's how I feel.
Rightly so.
Right, Jerry.
Yeah, rightly so.
I know. I'm a little ticked over that. Let's take a look at Wall Street this morning. And here's what's happening. Thank you, Preston over at Smart Lawn. If you're smart, you'll call them. A lot of people do now. The Dow's up 112, almost 113. The Nas bumped up 115, almost 116. And the S&P up 24. So the numbers continue to lean towards the green. Look at that, 33.30 for gold. Silver is on its way back to 33, but it's at 32.82. Look at that. That's the one I don't like. I don't get it. Gold's back, crude oil's up to 63.
63,
46. I want to see it in the 40s.
Oh, you know what? Where does it have to go? Where's the line where it's not profitable for the oil companies anymore? Because I know they have to get a certain amount per barrel to stay profitable. And I know it's a little bit higher than most of us think, but I'm not sure what that number is.
Well, it's where they get it.
Yeah, but I think it's in the 50s.
Yeah, so the pipeline, let's get it flowing.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill.
So all of a sudden you can get the product cheaper than you can import it, and then they can pass it on to the customer.
Well, all I want to do is I just want my gas prices to be near to those folks in Florida. Because Florida and a lot of the southern states, oh my goodness, it's way below us.
Yeah.
So a lot of states have a lot of things that are affecting the prices.
So, Mr. President, where are you? I'm looking for you. Mr. President, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay, get the gas prices down before Memorial Day.
Oh, boy. There's a good message.
That starts it through the summer.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to hear this conversation as Chad Prather, host of the Chad Prather Show, joined Newsmax's Carl Higbee, and he commented on this clip of Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, who was questioning Kristi Noem on FEMA's alleged failures.
Where is the evidence of the failure of FEMA?
Congresswoman, we still have claims open from Hurricane Katrina. We have fire claims that are still unpaid to people who said they were due them 7 to 8 to 10 years old. They have never been paid by FEMA. So one of the worst things that the federal government can do is to stand up in front of the American public and say, we will be there, we will walk alongside you in the most horrible time of your life, and then never follow through on it.
The federal government is abdicating its commitment to the American people who find
it did
themselves...
certainly under Joe Biden's administration.
It's insane, Carl. You know, my mother and my brothers, you know, the family property that I grew up on over in Georgia got hit pretty hard by Hurricane Helene. I mean, I spent probably $45,000-$50,000 of personal money getting trees cut out of there. You know what FEMA, what their response was, what my mother received for all of that property? $13,000, period. Exclamation point. End of story. We're still digging that out, rebuilding her house, doing all the kind of things. I mean, the federal government is one big blob that just rolls through and consumes everything that it touches. So, you know, Lord forbid that somebody is ever at their mercy. You know, this government overreach garbage cloaked in the name of progress. You know, you got a federally owned corporation like TVA marching into families' homes. They're not asking, they're informing them that their land is going to be taken. Their lives are going to be uprooted.
Without a judge.
History paved over. It's just done.
Yeah.
And you get no say in the matter.
Ever listen to the Chad Prather Show?
No.
I think anybody that's doing a podcast in a cowboy hat, I need to listen to. Come on, man.
Well,
Cowboy hat and a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, they make some very, very strong points here. Look, the problem with FEMA is being outperformed by Samaritan's Purse.
Amen. Yeah. Yes.
So, private money going to a nonprofit organization not only is there first, but gets better results, and then is there after to follow through.
Yeah.
The whole model is entirely different and very impacting. You come back to the federal government 10 years later, you never got your check?
Yeah, right. And you know what Samaritan's Purse never does? They never base their care and the aid that they're going to give out to people based on what political sign they have in their front yard.
They did in North Carolina.
Boy, FEMA they got it.
FEMA needs to go.
Yeah.
And take that money and give it to grants to organizations that do better. One of the best ones is the Salvation Army. If you look at the percentage of money in and the percentage of money that goes to services and that's only kept for administration, their ratio is one of the best in the world.
Wow.
So is Samaritan's Purse.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we do it better. Nonprofit does it better, and especially faith-based nonprofit does it better. Why? Because God watches our books.
Amen.
He sees all of the stuff that goes on, and somebody has to give an account for it. Gosh, I'm on a roll.
You are.
It's Mother's Day.
Too bad it's Friday.
Okay. Let's see. Seeds Candy.
Yeah.
I know that you like the nuts and chews.
I love them. Yeah. So does Pam.
Oh, well, then you're home free.
Oh, yeah. She loves them.
Okay, you're home free.
Okay, thank you.
Nuts and chews. We'll be right back.
Because of your love, we're forgiven. Because of your love.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538. Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
theDove.us, your place online to stay encouraged and informed. Enrich and grow your faith with reliable, inspiring content. Anywhere you are, you can stream the Dove TV's faith-based programming. Listen to the Dove Radio. Ask for prayer. Get the Word for You Today devotional. Plus, download the Dove app. Go to theDove.us, a trustworthy Christian media platform that will change your life forever. Make it yours today.
All right, good morning to you. Happy Friday, 27 minutes before the hour. Don't forget, Sunday is Mother's Day, so take care of that properly. Nuts and chews over here. Okay. And zero-turn mower. Peggy and I were talking about this last night. Yeah. I said, Pam's amazing. She likes chainsaws, fishing rods, boats, campers.
Yes.
Zero-turn mowers. Did you get her electric weed eater yet?
Of course.
Electric blower?
Yes. And you know what? She knows how to use them all. Now that I'm so hobbled, she has to. So, yeah, I mean,
you better be careful.
I know.
If she knows how to work all that and you milk this too far, you're toast.
God has blessed me in huge ways here. Oh, man.
Okay, let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you for joining us for CBN News Watch. It is Friday, May 9th, 2025. I want to begin this half hour with the Vatican electing a new pope, and this time history is made. Robert Prevost of Chicago becomes the first American to lead the Roman Catholic Church, taking the name Leo XIV. CBN's Brody Carter reports on the Vatican City's new pontiff and his global mission.
A rousing cheer from St. Peter's Square greeted the new pontiff as Catholic cardinals broke tradition and elected 69-year-old Robert Prevost, a Chicago-born missionary to Peru, as the first American pope.
Prevost was not the person we thought was going to be coming out on the balcony, so it was a big surprise.
In an interview on CBN's Faith Nation, Father Thomas Reese, a senior analyst with Religion Service, said Prevost spent 2 decades in Peru ministering in a diocese he would eventually lead, an experience that shaped his path to the papacy.
The Latin American cardinals seem to have liked him very much, so that they looked down him as one of their own, not a gringo. And I think their support was very decisive in electing him as Pope.
Prevost was brought to Rome in 2023 to lead the office that vets bishops worldwide, one of the most powerful roles in the Church. Now, as Pope Leo XIV, his priorities closely mirror Francis, blending social concern with theological tradition.
He will be totally in line with Pope Francis's concern about justice, peace, and protecting the environment. I think that's part of the DNA of the papacy today. So he's going to be very concerned about the plight of migrants, of refugees. He's going to be calling on people to pay attention to all the starving people in the world. And he's going to be very strong in speaking out for peace.
A message welcomed by many, even as it challenges others within the U.S. Church. The historic election of the first American pope sparked reactions across the globe, including questions about what his national origin might mean for the Vatican's global role.
We're leaning towards someone with a perspective from other parts of the world, and America certainly has a lot of power in the world, and I thought they might not want that concentration of power, but from everything I've heard, they've chosen a really good man who loves God and wants to do the right thing.
To see the news, was unexpected. I thought it was going to be a European or maybe someone else, but this is great news. He's young, he's 69, so hopefully he gives us some length and has a great run.
Pope Leo celebrated his first public mass today in the Sistine Chapel, with a media address scheduled Monday. His first possible foreign trip could come later this month to Turkey, marking a key milestone in early Christian history, the 1700th anniversary of the First Council of Nicaea. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Turn now to the Middle East. Israel is following through on its pledge to close United Nations schools for Palestinian children as Israel seems to be left standing alone against the Houthis. Meanwhile, the new survey shows half of Gazans approve of Hamas's October 7th attack. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more now. She reports from Jerusalem.
Israel's crackdown on UNRWA, working in the Jewish nation, now includes closing 6 schools in mostly Arab eastern Jerusalem. Students and teachers arrived Thursday to find the schools locked up for the foreseeable future.
When I hugged the teachers goodbye, I started crying because I didn't know which school I'd go to, where I would continue learning.
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency runs much of the education system for Palestinian children, but analysts in Israel say it's teaching those kids to be anti-Israel and pro-terrorist. David Bedin of the Center for Near East Policy Research has been exposing the Palestinian curriculum and UNRWA summer camps for decades. In an earlier interview with CBN News, he showed a page from a textbook UNRWA uses featuring a female terrorist.
This is Dalal al-Mughrabi, who murdered 36 Jews in a terror attack in 1978. And she's glorified in this book, and there's a whole curriculum for her, run by UNRWA.
Bedin says the curriculum is teaching the children to murder Jews and has 3 main points.
1, delegitimization of Israel's existence and the Israel's Jews' very presence in the country. 2, demonization of both Jews and Israelis. And 3, the absence of any call for peace.
Wow.
Well,
wow.
Gosh, how do you explain this stuff? I mean, why are we even dealing with stuff like this?
Man, you start
show you the hatred of humans, how hard and ugly and mean a human heart can become.
And that a lot of this stuff is coming out of an organization that's supposed to be the opposite, the UN.
Yeah.
What is the UN up to?
No good.
Yeah, well, I think so, yeah.
All right, well, let's see. We're going to call
it no good.
No, I wasn't going to go quite that far.
Thank you.
But I was going to put Jerry Qwerty in there. Jerry Qwerty doing the weather here.
We will continue to see dry conditions and even warmer temperatures. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, partly to mostly sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid-70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville with a light northwest wind. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with partly sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a calm wind becoming northwest around 5 miles per hour this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies across the central Oregon high desert with daytime high temperatures in the low 80s for Prineville and Bend and upper 70s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 89. Along the Oregon coast, partly sunny from Coos Bay with a high near 65, through Port Orford and Brookings in the mid to upper 50s, mostly cloudy in Crescent City, California with a high near 59. In southern Oregon, partly sunny skies for the Rogue Valley with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 80 in Ashland, also near 80 in the Klamath Basin under mostly sunny skies. Into northern California, partly sunny and low to mid-80s around Wairika. Temperatures climbing into the low 90s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento under sunny to mostly sunny skies. In the Bay Area, sunny with highs in the mid-80s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 26 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny and 88. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
Nice weather, beautiful day, a little bit of thin marine air slowly burning off, giving way to sunshine, gorgeous view of what we call home,
the
Rogue Valley.
Maybe some clouds gathering over the weekend, but it was on this day in history that a holiday was made official dedicated to our beloved mothers.
On May 9, 1914, President Woodrow Wilson issues a presidential proclamation that officially establishes the first National Mother's Day holiday to celebrate America's mothers. The idea for a Mother's Day is credited by some to Julia Ward Howe back in 1870 and by others to Anna Jarvis, who spearheaded the Mother's Day movement in 1907. Many individual states celebrated Mother's Day by 1911, but it wasn't until Wilson lobbied Congress in 1914 that Mother's Day was officially set on the second Sunday of every May. In his first Mother's Day proclamation, Wilson stated that the holiday offered a chance to publicly express our love and reverence for the mothers of our country.
Wow.
Mom, your day.
Yeah, interesting that, we actually had an unofficial Mother's Day before the proclamation.
Oh.
Something that every day should be Mother's Day.
Yeah, well, it is, but, really do it up well. But this is a great story. PragerU has a way of interviewing some people, and so this was a Syrian peace activist named Rowan Osman, and her story is fascinating because how she changed her mind from being an enemy of the Jews to an ally. Fascinating story. Here it is.
When I was a child, we could sometimes, when we played with the antenna, receive a signal from an Israeli TV. We couldn't care less if it was biblical cartoon, if it was Hebrew. But if a grown-up walked into the room, they would freak out. So we associated Hebrew with the language of the enemy. We associated Hebrew with taboo. Politicians, famous journalists, news anchors, wise people, your parents, your teachers, everybody's telling you the Israelis, the Jews, the Zionists are our enemies. We had no interactions with Jews, none whatsoever. The first 18 years of my life I spent in Lebanon, but eventually I landed in France. So I landed in Strasbourg, and on the first day I went across the street to a small grocery store. They were speaking a language I knew. It was Hebrew. When I turned and saw religious men with sideburns, dressed in white and black, big beards, I panicked. I dropped my stuff, crossed the street, ran up to the 3rd floor, locked my bedroom door. I was sharing the same space with the enemy for the first time ever, and it was overwhelming. It was my first day in France, and I was going to spend at least a year there. And I realized nothing instigated a panic attack except what was inside my brain. Because in the Arab world, we have anti-normalization laws and policies, and it forbids the citizens of these countries from interacting with Israelis. And if you are found guilty of collaborating with a Zionist or an Israeli, the consequences can be severe. But I realized that I'm not collaborating with Israel if I say hello to a Jew. And I was thinking they didn't even look at you. But also I left my stuff in the store and I had to go back and collect it. So I decided to compose myself to return. I continued shopping, and the owner was Jewish. And he asked me when I came to pay where I came from. And I told him, Lebanon, Syria. And he understood when I said it was my first day that I panicked because I understood they were Jews. And he was pleasant and very nice and helped me with my bags. And I continued shopping there, and I realized years later that this man, although he didn't mean to, he converted me from an enemy to an ally through kindness.
Through kindness.
Yeah.
I hope, well, I don't need to get off on that. I've been asking Christians the question lately. Rhetorical.
Okay.
Do you really love your neighbor as yourself?
Oh, God. So you ask difficult questions, huh?
I asked you one this morning.
Oh, no.
Okay, so don't answer this, folks.
Oh.
Have you ever sat through a green light?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there doing something else, and you sat through a green light, and you look up, now it's going yellow and red.
Yellow and red, yeah.
Boy, there is such a spiritual application to that.
Yeah.
It's a massive one.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
What if your next ride was more than just a ride?
What if it was an epic adventure filled with unforgettable memories?
At Panoramic Moto Tours, we take you beyond the ordinary, offering curated routes, privately guided with all the details handled.
Our passion is to share the joy of riding incredible roads, exploring new sights and towns, and connecting with others and sharing our stories.
Sound good to you?
What are you waiting for? Let's create your custom tour, or join us on one of our upcoming tours.
The Lost Coast and Trinity Alps, May 16th through the 19th, or the Oregon Coast and Cascades Tour, June 22nd through the 26th. Just click the Tours tab at panoramicmototours.com or call 541-622-3844.
panoramicmototours.com. Your next adventure starts here.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
The Bible says sin is pleasurable for a season, but afterwards comes death. So the devil comes, he offers his good wine, if you will, up front, and then you pay the price for it. God says, for you, the Christian, the best is yet to come. Just keep following me and trusting me, and you will see.
Welcome back, 11 minutes before the hour. Happy Friday to you. Beautiful weather, Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. This is fascinating. It's called the Christian Institute. Actually, they are a Christian ministry there in Newcastle, England. They did a report of a Christian hero of the Holocaust and how this is now going to be honored in a film produced by Scottish high school students. And here's a little bit of the story.
The life of a Christian heroine of the Holocaust is to be honoured in a film for Scottish high school students in Renfrewshire. Commissioned by Unison, the documentary tells the story of Jane Haining, a Scottish missionary and matron of a girls' home at the Jewish Mission School in Budapest. At the outbreak of the Second World War, Haining refused to abandon the Jewish girls in her care, informing her sending church, "If these children need me in days of sunshine, how much more do they need me in days of darkness?" Following the invasion of Hungary by Hitler's forces in 1944, Haining was betrayed, arrested, and transported to a Nazi concentration camp, where she died 3 months later at the age of 47. Haining was declared a British hero of the Holocaust by the UK government in 2010. Commenting on the resource, her niece Deirdre McDowell's paid tribute to Haining's strong Christian faith. She felt that as long as she had God with her and followed Christ's teachings, she would be all right, and that was her maxim throughout her life.
Wow.
Well, it's quite a story in the making there, but, I think all these students at Columbia and Harvard need to go over to Auschwitz and do a little history tour over there.
Yeah. It's amazing, too, and especially in a day and an age where there are still Holocaust deniers out there. It's amazing.
Yeah, where did they get that?
Yeah. Right.
I got some great guests coming up. Looking forward to have back with us Lord Conrad Black. He's quite the guy, and he at one time owned the Telegraph. He owned the Jerusalem Post. He owned the National Post in Canada. He's quite the publisher. And we have a lot to talk about, but his discussion will be about how the individual leader actually changed more than just political history. In other words, the person's agenda changed world history. Do we have that going on today in the White House?
Oh, boy.
We have somebody that has shaken the world.
Yes.
So anyway, we'll talk to him about that. Sam Sorbo will be back with us. Parents' Guide to Homeschooling. Very important these days.
All right. Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the NBA playoffs have begun. Right now, you have the New York Knicks playing the Boston Celtics, and the Knicks are shall we say, slim to none in their expectations, or at least others' expectations of them winning the series.
You know what they got to do is come out in another uniform with another name. So they can protect the previous
shake that stigma. Yes. Well, they came out, and the thing is, too, they've been playing in Boston. And so the Knicks have been, the visiting team. And they went in there, and they upset them in Game 1. But an ex-Celtic great, who is now a podcaster and broadcaster, made a prediction that wouldn't happen in Game 2. And he went out on a limb, but the limb cracked. Take a look at this.
Former Celtics great and current broadcaster Paul Pierce was so confident of his team in Game 2 of the NBA playoffs against the New York Knicks, he said he would walk to work barefoot in my robe if they lost for a second straight game in the second-round series. He declared on an FS1 show Wednesday, "If the Celtics lose Game 2 at home, I promise you I am walking here tomorrow. I guarantee this one. Put the house on this game." But it didn't turn out so great. The Celtics blew a 20-point lead in Game 2 as they did in Game 1 and lost 91-90. Pierce appeared to honor his vow, saying he set out before the sun rose for what he said was a 20.2-mile commute to work in the Los Angeles area. He posted updates on Instagram Live. It was unclear whether he was actually barefoot, but bathrobed? Yep. Just after 5 a.m., he said, "All right, time for me to get to steppin'," calling himself a man of my word. After another update and a little before 9 a.m., Pierce posted another live update of a couple of hecklers on the sidewalk. Pierce took it all in stride, having some fun with them. He said he was about halfway at that point. The series now moves to Madison Square Garden in New York on Saturday with the Knicks up 2-0, and we'll keep an eye on Pierce to see if he makes any more predictions.
Well, that's great.
Don't go out on a limb. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad he did it. 20 miles.
That's really cool because he... First of all, he's a man of his word. Secondly, he made the whole thing exactly the way it should be.
Yeah.
So do you predict games?
I never do, and I never pray for the outcome of games either. That's just something I don't do.
Okay.
But it was interesting.
You do have Yankee socks.
Yeah, I do have Yankee socks, and I was watching the game, and it was at Yankee Stadium, and all of a sudden the stadium erupted in cheers at the exact same time, at an inappropriate time during the game as the pitcher's getting ready to wind up. It was like, what's going on? And the announcer said, everybody's tuned into the Knicks game. The Knicks just won. They just beat the Celtics. Yankee Stadium erupted. And, it's these things. It's our little devices. Everybody's tracking. So it's kind of interesting what's going on out there.
So what did the pitcher do?
Yeah, he's like, what?
Did he follow through?
What did I do? What'd I do?
Hey, what do I do here? Well, that's pretty interesting. Sports comes and goes with me. I don't get in it until the playoffs of anything.
Well, I think that's wise.
I'm
why waste your time?
But I'm always fascinated about how they fill up a stadium. And how many people are really into it,
Yeah.
Now, Peggy and I, we're tennis fans, and she's really a tennis fan, so and I've been to the U.S. Open, and I enjoyed every moment of it, so.
Well, we got a big thing going on now. The Yankees are on a West Coast swing. They're playing the A's, but you know who the A's are now? They're the Sacramento A's. They're playing in Sacramento in a minor league park, and the Yankees are going to go play them. There's only like 15,000 people can get in.
Well,
normally it's like 45,000.
There you go.
Cha-ching.
I take the scripture with you today, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength, and shall mount up with wings like eagles, and shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint. So there's two words there. Wait, and when you do, the shall will come.
Okay.
Okay? All right, beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Ever be on my lips, your praise will ever be on my lips.
An American tradition like no other. The Central Point Wild Road Pro Rodeo, presented by Country Financial. It's set to be the ride of a lifetime.
This isn't just any rodeo. This is where legends are made. See many of the nation's top 20 cowboys and cowgirls compete on National Finals rodeo stuff right here at the home of the only 100-point bull ride. Barrels, bareback, broncs, tie-down roping, team roping, and of course, bulls. Mark your calendars. The Wild Road Pro Rodeo hits the Expo in Central Point May 15th through the 17th.
Where big ideas grow.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the Trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
I'm holding the many prayer requests that arrive here at the Dove. We're grateful that you include us with your prayer needs. As a staff, know that we join you and pray over your requests for God's help. Have a prayer need? Let us know by going to thedove.us.
What happens when people hear an audio Bible in their own language for the very first time?
I still remember an old man in the village. We just finished the Bible. We have it in audio. It's the story of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Would you like to listen? And the old man, 94 years old, said, I have never heard of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That day he did. That day he accepted Christ.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Chico and the North State. Seen on KKRM 11, Channel 21, and these Dove TV affiliates.
Okay, welcome back, and delighted to have back with us today Drew Allen. He's the Vice President of Client Development there with Publius PR. He's the author of America's Last Stand, and he has a widely published columnist himself and the host of the popular Drew Allen Show podcast, so you can check that out. And drewallen.substack.com is his website. You can check that out. Drew, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Hey, Perry. Good to be with you again.
Good. All right. So Liberation Day came and went and caused a shake, global shake. What's your take?
People need to calm down. The Democrats and the media in particular are using this, as a political issue. Democrats have never once cared about taxes. They didn't care about inflation under the Biden administration. They made fun of voters on election night, they're not really voting about the price of a hot dog. They're just a bunch of racist, sexists who won't vote for a black woman. I live in California, Perry. We've got gas taxes. My electric bill for a house that's less than 3,000 square feet is $800 a month. Gas is over $5, and that's due to taxes and policies here. So Democrats don't care at all about taxes. They love taxes. But when it comes to tariffs now, suddenly, they want to focus suddenly on how this is going to adversely affect the American people. And what's not being talked about in this conversation, of course, is a couple of things. One, I would just ask people the simple question, in what world is it fair that for 20 plus years, the rest of the world puts taxes on our goods that they import to discourage importing American goods, to protect their own industries, and yet the United States of America is expected to just never put any taxes on anybody else's goods coming into the United States of America. That's not free trade. We're playing a game that is rigged against us, and we're going along with it. And Donald Trump's come along and he said, we've had enough. We're going to protect industries at home. You can look at Detroit. You can look at steel plants. You can look across this country and see what our trade policies that favor other countries over our own have done to hollow this nation out. And we're not going to do this anymore. So, look, the stock market's reacting how it's going to react. It's going to bounce back. I mean, this is a ridiculous measure of what the tariffs are going to do anyway, because they haven't even really had time to go into effect. So it's all a bunch of baloney about nothing. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is addressing something significant, which hasn't been addressed in a long time, which is the unfair trade deficit between other nations and ourselves. We are not here to take American dollars and just donate them around the world through our trade policy as well. And on top of that, the goal of this, some of it may be long-term tariffs, and I think there will be long-term benefits to the American people and worker. But also look at what's happening. We hold the cards here. Nation after nation is coming to the table and saying, hey, this is going to kill our economy because the Americans are the ones who are buying all of our goods. So can we sit down and talk about this and address tariff? So it's working. It's doing what it needs to do, which is to recalibrate the way things have been done.
Well said. Do you think the average American, until he held up that chart, really understood what this was all about?
No, I don't think so at all. And it's hard to to give the American people the benefit of the doubt. Tariffs are not a sexy conversation topic. They don't come up very often. There's a lot of ignorance about the issue, and the media is trying to seize upon that and take advantage of it. Look, tariffs are taxes. Absolutely, they're taxes. It's the importer. If I have a company and I import steel from Europe, that tariff's going to be put on me, my company, and I'm going to pass it on to the consumer. But here's the other thing. People act like this is some dark territory we've never waded into before, and that's not true, because Donald Trump put 25%, I think was the number, tariffs on steel and aluminum from the European Union during his first term. And in fact, Joe Biden kept that around at least a year into his fake, autopin presidency. But the result of that was not catastrophic for the American people. Nobody even knows about it, but that happened already. So the American people just need to keep their wits about them. They need to remain calm and collected. They need to trust this president and this administration. And they need to not allow the media, which has lied about everything, for such a long time, to let them influence the way the American people are going to understand tariffs.
All right, I want to switch your attention. I only have you for one segment, so thank you, Drew, for your time. I want to go over to this judicial crisis we seem to be in. And there's a lot of talk about how to solve the problem, and will this Boasberg action eventually end up at the Supreme Court? And what do we do to correct this down the road? Question number one, has this uncovered a judicial rot that's been there and we just didn't know it?
Yeah. First off, yes, this originates at the university setting. If you go to the elite law schools, where I guarantee you most all these activist judges come out of, many of them go to Yale, they go to Harvard, just like they're indoctrinating young people in undergraduate programs, they're doing the same thing in these law schools. And they're turning out people for this very purpose. And look, you can't legislate morality. The Founding Fathers understood that to a great extent. So we have a moral crisis in America. And it affects these district judges as well. These people were not elected by the American people. They have no right to go in and stay every single executive order, everything that Donald Trump and his administration do. That is not a separation of powers. But we're talking about abuse of power here, because you have to allow these judges a little bit of leeway to stay on a constitutional order. So, for example, when Joe Biden ignores the Supreme Court and says, I'm going to go ahead and forgive student loans. Well, he doesn't have the authority to do that. So a judge would be right in that circumstance to stay that order until, a hearing could take place to prevent that from going forward. But that depends upon the morality and of the judge, their ability to restrain themselves. And this is always going to be a problem in every country. We have a great system set up. It's better than every other country that exists. But we have judges who are tyrants right now. And we have a breakdown of the Constitution because these judges believe that it is their responsibility to act as political a last stop for Democrats to, do what they were unable to do, convincing the electorate to vote for Kamala Harris.
All right. So the district judge is a creation of Congress to help with the judicial load, those court cases at that level. And some would argue to say we actually need to increase the amount of district judges because of the backlog of cases. I get that. But if Congress created that position in the judiciary, then Congress could go in and reform the authority of that judge. In other words, bring back his ability to reach clear over into federal cases. So question number one, do you think that's possible? And question number two is, if it does go all the way to the Supreme Court, what will they do about it?
Well, the Supreme Court, Roberts and a couple others, that are supposedly, originalists, supposed to be, right-leaning judges, they don't seem eager to deal with this situation at all. And in fact, they don't seem eager to deal with anything consequential in this country. They want to kick the can down the road, much like Congress has done with the budget and deficits and so on and so forth for a long time. It's really concerning. They need to get involved and address this because they need to define strictly the limits of these judges' powers, because until they do that, this is going to continue. If you look at the statistics of district judges suing, administrations, it's shocking. It's 3 or 4 times what has happened under either the Bush administration, the Obama administration. Under Trump, they're using this exclusively to interfere in his ability to govern as the executive. So there's not a great solution because morality at the end of the day is what you want. You want these judges who are not going to abuse their power, but unfortunately, so much of the abuse is in these judicial appointments. And so I think that you have to be willing to play with fire here, which is going to be to impeach these people.
Okay, so Chief Justice Roberts has already set a signal. Don't do that. So he's already played his hand on that issue. Would the Supreme Court step in over the Congress on a judicial impeachment?
Some of them would. You can absolutely impeach these judges. They are not gods. If you can obviously impeach the President of the United States over hoaxes, you can certainly impeach these. This has to exist for balance of power. You cannot have rogue justices or judges out there, in this case, district judges, determining foreign policy. You're not a foreign policy expert, but yes, effectively what you have is you have these district judges that are activist Democrats who are now making themselves experts in foreign policy, who are going to dictate, whether we can deport and do this and do that. And it has to stop. And I don't know where it's going to end up because ultimately, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. But again, this is the same Supreme Court that that claimed at one point that blacks were not human; they were subhuman. Again, the underlying issue with all of this is a lack of morality, a lack of understanding about the Constitution, and until you restore that, you're going to continue to have problems with abuses of power.
So have we given the Supreme Court powers that it shouldn't have? In other words, if it's the final arbiter on everything legal, which is supposed to weigh against the Constitution, but if the Constitution doesn't address it, then they are making a moral decision based upon their own biases.
Yeah, and they've done that frequently throughout this country's history. The decision throughout America's history effectively has been to honor those decisions. Although, I would argue in the example I was just giving you about the Supreme Court ruling prior to the Civil War that, blacks aren't humans, they're property. Obviously, that was an egregious ruling that was wrong and incorrect. but that was also one of the triggers that led to the Civil War. So, things happen in this country to deal with these horrific decisions and corruption. I don't want to get to that point. Obviously, nobody's arguing for a civil war, but it's a little bit frightful of a situation, in my opinion, because there's not a clean solution, Perry.
So one last question: if Boasberg is able to reach out and force the president to bring these thugs back, there are obviously some of them are M13, some MS-13, some of them are obviously murderers, rapists, and all these bad things. Doesn't that, in the long run, continue to weaken the liberals for being for this?
Yeah, it does. It's a terrible stance to take, and I think the right answer, and some people will disagree with me, and you're wrong, I'm right, but he should ignore it. A bad ruling like this has to be ignored. What are they going to do? As long as we have the House, there's not going to be an impeachment over it, and so on and so forth. But you're talking about an original mistake here on the district courts. Why is it that the judges in this country, whether it's a district judge or someone else, if they make something that's an obviously unconstitutional ruling, if they're obviously acting beyond their power, if they're obviously abusing their power, why do we have an obligation to obey that and give them that authority? You have to have conflict at some point. And, I can't predict what the Supreme Court would do and everything else. But, what if the Supreme Court came back today, 2025, and said, yeah, black people aren't human beings, they're property, that's our ruling? I mean, what do you think that the people in this country would say? Should that be listened to because it's the Supreme Court? I don't think so. Yeah, kind of crazy. So, just 30 seconds. What do you think of his first 100 days? Seems to be pretty interesting. Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, the political will he has, the political just power that he has right now with the backing of the American people, it's astonishing. He's standing strong on tariffs. I really am impressed. I've never seen somebody try to do so much good so quickly before. I mean, this is akin to FDR, but the reverse, because he's actually doing things that are good for the country. And look, the media is going to try and continue with these hoaxes from the Atlantic to convince you to break with Trump and to diminish his support. And we've got to support him and look towards midterms now, because if we lose the House, he's going to be impeached. So every day, the American people need to treat like it's 2024. And we saw in Wisconsin, the Republicans and voters didn't show up. Good point. All right, drewallen.substack.com. That's his website, drewallen.substack.com. Check it out. A lot going on there. Thank you, Drew, for your time. We value it. Hang in there, buddy. And, you may want to consider moving out of California. I hear that every day, Perry. Okay, buddy. I'll come help drive the truck. I'll call you. Okay, see you later.
In the heart of the Rogue Valley, RVTD connects us all, not just through miles traveled, but also through time. 50 years ago, public transportation laid the foundation for growth in Southern Oregon. These early buses didn't just carry passengers, they carried progress, connecting communities and fueling dreams. Rogue Valley Transportation District, celebrating 50 years of moving our community forward.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. No. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in. We weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Hey, I'm John, host of Road Trip to Truth, the show where we find answers to some of life's biggest questions. Join us as we hit the road.
Where do you think the notion of morality comes from?
Shout out atheists.
We're humans. We're stupid. Okay, I need to change my decision.
These are hard questions today. You got me thinking more than in class.
Well, you just got out of a critical thinking class. So.
See Road Trip to Truth Monday, Friday, and Saturday on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Been looking forward to having Bill Walton. He's known as the Unwoke CEO. He's the host of the Bill Walton Show. He chairs the Resolute Protectors Foundation, which is a 501c3 media production company that creates and produces original educational and entertainment content. Former chairman of the Tea Party Patriots. He also led the agency action and landing teams for all the federal economic agencies for President Trump during his transition team. He does have a website called thebillwaltonshow.com, and there's a picture of the landing page there, billwaltonshow.com. Bill, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Oh, I'm great, Barry. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, big question. And I say this not hopefully in the sense of being, disrespectful, but is the Democratic Party augured in so deep they can't recover?
Well, it looks like it. Their approval rating now is about 23%, depending on which poll you look at, and there's a lot of infighting, and right now, according to Nate Silver, who's the pollster who really nailed the prediction on presidential election in 2008, 2012. He was close with Hillary in 2016, and then anyway, he's got a great record, and he's now predicting that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be the Democrat nominee in 2028, and I'm trying to decide whether that's good news or bad news. I think probably, given I don't think she's electable, I think it's good news for people who want to keep doing what we're doing with Trump.
All right, so can the DNC afford to advance her?
Well, I don't know. There is a question about who and what the DNC is. There are a lot of people who believe, including me, that the Democratic Party's got to rethink. I mean, what Trump did with the coalition he built and bringing in Hispanics and minority blacks and other working class people is he basically took a lot of the coalitions or one of the groups from the Democrat Party and he hollowed them out, and they're not left with much except for the desperately poor and the outrageously rich on the East Coast and the West Coast. And so what do they have? And there's some thought that we might see, although political parties in the United States are extremely resilient, but there might be some pressure to see the Democrat Party split into a progressive wing and a moderate wing. Of course, if that happens, that reduces their chances of winning an election. But nevertheless, particularly the progressives, they are true believers. I mean, they are religious zealots when it comes to all of their agendas, climate, sexual identity, everything like that. So they may find that more appealing to go it that way than be practical and try to win an election.
Okay, because if they go clear over to AOC as being the candidate, which is obviously, and I say this, the radical side of the party, their message has to be something other than Trump's a jerk.
Well, I don't. Yeah, they think that's plenty. I don't know if you've heard about it, but AOC is out on a tour with Bernie Sanders, right, and they're calling it the Fighting Oligarchy Tour. Oligarchy, and they're talking about oligarchy, and they're opposing it, of course, and they're for economic justice, and for them that means Medicare for all, college tuition for all, housing for all, and taxing the rich to pay for all this. That's their first plank, and then they're arguing that economics rights are human rights, on and on and on. All of which would if they implemented some of that, would wreck the country. But they're they're out there saying, and they're drawing, their rallies are drawing, 20, 25,000 people, which is certainly a lot more than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden ever did.
So in the meantime, Doge is uncovering a lot of what the Democrats have been up to over decades, and we all know there's been fraud and fat, and just really craziness with the operating of the government, and so their message is we need more of that.
Oh yeah. There's never enough of that. There's not enough USAID giving money away to Iran, to Iraq, to sponsor Sesame Street in Iraqi, or promoting LGBT rights in Africa. I mean, they're all in for that, and I think we should be. It's a crime that we haven't spent that much money on that. I mean, we're going to stop spending money on that. And I live in the D.C. area, and they're out there protesting that these things that we think are complete waste, if not fraud, ought to disappear. They're on the opposite camp. I think Elon Musk, who I admire enormously, has run into the buzzsaw of the deep state. And in particular, they've found the federal appellate court's judiciary to back them up and to block President Trump's executive orders. And I think at last count, there were 55 or 60 actions by Trump to reduce the size of government and to right size it for the programs we really need. And those have been blocked by federal judges.
I was going to ask you about that because the injunctions keep mounting, and I don't know if the Supreme Court's going to pick all these up. They seem to be consolidating them, and the last three, as it relates to deportation, they're going to consolidate and hear the oral arguments sometime around May 15th, which, by the way, is 2 weeks past they close oral arguments for the season. But then recently they said, hold off, don't do anything, don't deport anything, and that's even divided the court. What's your 30,000-foot view of the judiciary these days?
Well, I'm worried. I mean, if you look at the Constitution and the document the founders wrote and their passion for separation of power, they never conceived that the judiciary would be making policy. They were supposed to be referees on the law, but nothing else, and that the executive branch was the one to drive the action, and it was going to be funded by Congress. And so what we've got now is a real bastardization of that, and it's put the power back in the hands of now the Supreme Court. And you worry with a 5-4 majority on certain issues. You worry about John Roberts. You worry about Amy Coney Barrett, is how she's going to vote. And so, the way the country goes, the way the federal government goes, tips in the balance depending on how those two people feel that morning when they decide to write their opinion. It's put us in a position we should never be in, but there we are.
All right, so you have the executive, the congressional, or the legislative, and the judicial. Have those lines been blurred?
They're absolutely blurred. I mean, there was the
That happened. Sorry about that. We'll see if we can get reconnected quickly. You may want to check out his show. It's called thebillwaltonshow.com. There's a picture of the landing page. And again, pretty experienced gentleman in how the system goes and works, as he was part of the agencies that worked with the President Trump's transitional team in coming into office. So he's got a lot to express and share with us. Again, that's called thebillwaltonshow.com. So I apologize for that. Sometimes that happens. I guess the overall thing is, let me just come back to some basic things with you real quick here. Are you surprised at the speed of the action of the president?
No, I'm not surprised how quickly Donald Trump's moved. This is the way he likes to do things. What I am, I won't say surprised, what I am disappointed in is that after a lot of momentum in the first 60, 75 days, tremendous momentum, it all seems to be stalled out right now, and we're not seeing a lot of movement in some areas we'd like to see it. And in particular, I want to see some movement on the tariff negotiation. You were mentioning in your prologue or your introduction about issues with tariffs on equipment for your studio. Well, that's happening to everybody in every sector of the economy, and we basically have said we're going to negotiate individual trade agreements with 50, 60 countries, and we haven't concluded one yet. And I think we need to see, because the trade issue, the tariff issue really looms over all the rest of Trump's agenda. So he needs to make that happen. And in that case, I wish he'd move a lot faster.
Steve Forbes yesterday spoke to that, and his comments pushed the market down pretty high. It came back this morning pretty high, or pushed the market down pretty low, but it came back pretty high today. But the bottom line is, even Steve Forbes is underlining what you're saying here, Bill, and that is, these things don't seem to be coming together quickly. I don't know where it is where you are, but we haven't seen anything but an increase in gas prices. Somewhere along the line, you would think somewhere about here, maybe here through July, all of these changes should produce better results, don't you think?
Well, I grew up in Indiana, and my parents and my grandparents, when we were at the table, would say, "Don't bite off more than you can chew." Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid that maybe in this case he's bitten off more than he can chew, and that you think about the trade representative's office. It's not big. There are not a lot of people in there, and they're used to dealing with one agreement at a time, or multilateral agreement, or working with WTO. They're not used to going at all speeds with Japan, with France, with Vietnam, China. I mean, it's a massive undertaking, and I hope we've got that staffed properly, because it's going to take some talent to make this happen.
Do you think he forces Chairman Powell out of the Feds?
Yes. Well, I think that's his. That's the mode he's in now. I mean, I find Donald Trump terrific, but I also find him infuriating sometimes, because he does get into this sort of big guy mode where he calls decisions and likes to make things happen at his whim. And I think at some point, probably in the next month or two, Jay Powell's not going to reduce rates, and Powell's going to move, or Trump's going to move to fire him.
Why isn't Powell moving to lower rates? The Feds. I guess maybe a question for you, Bill. Do we need the Feds? Do we need this?
No, we do not need the Fed.
Okay.
We don't need the Fed. The Fed's ridiculous. The Fed has you talk about mission creep. I mean, people think the Fed is about money, but they're now trying to help produce full employment, and I have no idea how money policy results in full employment. And in some of the more radical districts, like San Francisco, they were pushing radical climate change and radical DEI agendas and CRT. And so they've got a big agenda that they've drifted away completely. And they've got 1,000 or so PhD economists from MIT, and they all agree, they're all Keynesians, and they all believe in, if you want the economy to go, you got to stimulate it. I also think that the Fed would tend to drag its feet with a Republican president like Trump, because I don't know the precise numbers, but I'd guess most of the people who worked at the Fed did not vote for Donald Trump. And right. So if they can slow down his agenda, I think they would do that.
Can the president fire the chairman or not?
I'm not sure. We didn't think that you could fire the head of the, the Consumer Protection Bureau, the creation of Elizabeth Warren, and they went ahead and did that. And so there's some things they're doing which people thought they couldn't do, and they're going to let the courts sort it out.
Okay. Good to see you. Let me say to our viewers, check out Bill's show. It's called thebillwaltonshow.com. There is the landing page, picture of the landing page. You can check out the show there at billwalton.com. Good to see you, friend. Thanks for your time.
Great talking with you.
Okay, see you later.
The right cleaning company matters. Choose Dust Plus Cleaning and Carpet Care, a family-owned company proudly serving Grants Pass and nearby communities for over 25 years. We're passionate about delivering the best Whether it's carpets, using purified water for no window spots, or carefully washing solar panels, we're committed to superb customer service from start to finish. Radiant spaces from local professionals. Request a free quote today.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
The Dove is touching lives across our network and around the world.
Thank you for all you do to put the truth of God and the gospel out on the airwaves. You've helped me and encouraged me a lot in the last few years. And Perry, thank you for the amazing interviews on Focus Today.
Thank you for your hope and inspiration.
Let us know if the Dove has touched your life. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative. Support the Dove at thedove.us.
Okay, welcome back. Well, homeschooling has always been an interesting topic, and education in general, a big topic, obviously. I'm really honored to have with us today Sam Sorboro, who is the author of several books, including her latest, Parents' Guide to Homeschool, Making Education Easy and Fun. There's a picture of the cover of Sam's latest book right there on the screen. She continues her acting career, producing and writing. She hosts the Sam Sorboro show daily and does a lot of public speaking. Website, Sorbo, S-O-R-B-O Studios.com. And there's a picture of the landing page there. Sam, good to see you. Thanks for your time. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about this really important subject of education.
It's big. And
Everything.
A lot of parents are really now scratching their head. What do I do? Who do I trust? Can I do this? Am I qualified to do this? Help us walk through this and why you wrote this guide.
Yeah, so there are a couple different ways to go at it. First of all, you can identify that the schools fail to educate. They are not actually systems of education. They are systems of the opposite of education. In school, we learn don't ask, because you have to raise your hand and draw attention to yourself in order to get permission to ask a question. So that whole lesson is basically boils down to don't learn. They also teach don't think. Just regurgitate what the teacher told you and put it on the test. Don't read. The teacher read the book. She'll tell you what's in it. And don't try, because failure is bad. There are a lot of really negative messages that are just imbued into the system of schooling that we have that are anti-child and anti-education. And so and now, of course, now that they've taken morality out of the schools, which they did back in the 60s, and we're seeing the repercussions of that today, now we are left with them indoctrinating the children in this very odd ideology of gender theory and critical race theory and basically various forms of Marxism. And so as a parent, you are left wondering, well, how can I get my child educated? But the first question you need to ask is, what is education, which is what my book deals with. Parents' Guide to Homeschool, it poses that question for the parents. Well, what is your desire for your child? Because I'm sure your highest desire is not that your child learn calculus. Your highest desire would be that you raise a trustworthy adult who is capable of being a good citizen, being a good neighbor, raising a family, having wonderful children, being a good parent, being loving, being forgiving, knowing how to ask for forgiveness. Like, these are all character questions. And so my position is that education begins with character development. Once you get the character development into the child, then that sparks the interest of the child, and the child is born curious. The curiosity is killed in schools. But if you can engage the curiosity of the child and you do character formation for the child, then the child is driven to learn because it understands that learning is a part of discovering God and discovering self. And so everything becomes enjoyable to learn. That's why the subtitle is Making Education Easy and Fun, because it should be. And the only reason we think it's hard is because we went to school and we suffered 13 years of indoctrination of how difficult it is to teach and to learn and to parent and all of these lies that are simply part of the system.
Wow, a lot there to unpack. Let's start with a simple question. How in the world did our education system get off track?
Yeah, well, it was hijacked. It was hijacked by the businessmen back at the turn of the century who wanted factory workers, and so they decided to train people to work in factories, to move at the sound of a bell, to sit quietly in their chairs, to follow directions without asking questions. And so that's what we have, and we proved it during COVID, where so many people just lined up to follow the experts. And it didn't work out very well for us. And so I'm trying to raise the alarm bells and say, this is a cliff that we are fast approaching, where we have such an unthinking populace. And we know this. We know that we try to get change from the cashier and they can't do simple math in their head. And that's not necessarily a mark of intelligence. That's a mark of education. That's a mark of knowledge, of understanding how math works, simple math. So how did we get here? First, it was hijacked. Then they took the Bible out of schools. Initially, schools were erected as a way of imparting morality to our young people so that we could have good citizens and a good population, a good civilization that adhered to the rule of law, that followed the golden rule, do unto others, that behaved. And now we have licentiousness because we took morality out of the schools. We banned the Bible from schools, and we stopped teaching children that there's any difference between right and wrong. So that's why we have a population today that fails to discern. We lack discernment because we've been taught that that's discrimination. And it's not. Everybody makes judgments, and you're called to make judgments. You have to decide what is proper and what is improper. But now it's sort of like everything goes, and that's why we're going off the rails.
The evidence of the test scores is evidence that we're failing at this miserably. Part of it now is, do we really need the Department of Education? Elon Musk has even commented on it. Of course, he's being demonized for all the things that he's involved in, but he brings his son to the Oval Office. There seems to be a cultural divide between not only education, but parenting, family values. I mean, whatever happened in the classroom got carried into the culture. Is it recoverable?
Well, I think the culture is recoverable. I don't think the schools are recoverable. And that's because they're doing exactly what they were designed to do. When you treat children like they're in an institution, when you institutionalize children, it will have bad consequences. When you train children to believe that they are accidents of nature, because evolution is the only truth, and so that's the one that they learn, that they have no purpose in life except to make money, then yes, you're going to have a wanton culture. But it's recoverable because there's a great resurgence of home education, which, by the way, is just getting back to tradition. This nation was founded by educated men who were all homeschooled. They were self-taught individuals. It's not like we can't teach ourselves. It's not like education is this great big nut that we have to crack and we need experts to show us how. We used to do it just fine. But then we instituted schools, and parents saw a way out. They thought, they were trained to think, they were trained to think, this is better. This is better than what's gone before. And so we've all been brainwashed to believe in school first and foremost. And that's why now that we are ranked 40th among 40 developed nations, and yet we spend more than any other country on the education of our children, but we are last in testing for academics, we think, well, there must be something that we're doing wrong. Yes, that thing that we're doing wrong is school. And that's the unfortunate thing. If we reinstate the Bible in schools and we bring character formation back into the schools, then we can redeem, some of the children. But character comes from the family, and we've decimated the family. The schools have destroyed the family. They've removed the father by and large. And by that, I mean, not just that we have fatherless families, but even families that have fathers. The fathers are gone all day working. They barely see their children on weekends. And so the children are growing up largely without their fathers. And that's a travesty.
Boy, is this problem starting to hit the wall?
Well, I think parents are waking up. And so, I am getting more and more inquiries in my efforts to empower parents to emancipate themselves. I think a lot of the public is realizing how enslaved they've been to sort of the narrative that's been pushed on them. And by the way, they had 13 years to push the narrative onto all of us. So I had bought in. When I first started homeschooling my kids, I was deep in the academics. I was deeply committed to getting them academically adept. And I didn't realize that it's really more about character development than anything else. But what I discovered for myself, and what I'm helping families to discover, and I have families who reach out to me 3 years later. We heard you speak. We pulled our daughter out the next day. It's been the best thing for our family. Other families, pulled all their kids out in one day and have never looked back. And their families are stronger. Their kids are more resilient. We have an issue now because school can't beat homeschool. It can't. Homeschoolers test 25% better than regular schooled kids. In the inner city, it's as much as 42% better on academic achievement tests, which are their metrics. So I'm not going by my metrics. It's their metrics that they fail at. And that's why you're seeing the big push to over-regulate home educators. In the state of Florida, if you take the government money, you are no longer considered a homeschooler and you have to abide by government regulations. And the government regulations are intended to shut down homeschooling because the homeschoolers make the government system look as bad as it is. And it is bad. I mean, we have rampant child abuse going on in our schools, sex trafficking of our children in our schools, the pornography that's in our schools, and the gender theory that is invading children's minds, what Musk called the woke mind virus. It's no wonder that he brings his child with him everywhere he can, or his children, I should say. He brought his children to meet the Prime Minister of India also. But I want people to understand that is home education. It's being with daddy and seeing what daddy does for a living and meeting adults and understanding that adults are people too and how to relate to adults. Homeschooled children tend to be much better socialized than children that are stuck in a classroom all day, than children who are institutionalized all day. And so parents are waking up. And we are seeing what after COVID, basically, we had a doubling of the number of home educating families. I think it's up to 5 million now in the United States. But we need more because it's the freedom mindset. This is the only way that we will be able to preserve our freedoms.
Wonderful. Boy, you're so passionate and say it so well. Let me take a quick break. I say to our viewers and listeners, check out Parents' Guide to Homeschool, Making Education Easy and Fun. Where can they get that, Sam?
If they go to sorbostudios.com, it's there, and I will sign it for them if they want. But all of my books are on sorbostudios.com.
All right, that's SORBO studios.com. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
An American tradition like no other. The Central Point Wild Road Pro Rodeo, presented by Country Financial. It's set to be the ride of a lifetime.
This isn't just any rodeo. This is where legends are made. See many of the nation's top 20 cowboys and cowgirls compete on National Finals rodeo stock. Right here at the home of the only 100-point bull ride. Barrels, bareback, broncs, tie-down roping, team roping, and of course, bulls. Mark your calendars. The Wild Road Pro Rodeo hits the expo in Central Point May 15th through the 17th.
Worried that inflation might burst your retirement bubble? I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Helping you navigate the stormy seas of retirement, Lighthouse stands tall as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
We walked out the door and she handed me the keys and she said, "I'm gonna need you to drive." She was so sick so quickly. I began to feel just a spirit of heaviness of, Lord, what is happening?
The big fear was if they couldn't get the bleeding stopped, then what are you going to do? The only thing I could actually do was pray.
I knew exactly when we walked in, something was different.
Watch the 700 Club Monday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
What kind of life are you living? You want to be a happy person? Don't chase happiness. Chase after God. Come to God and He will clean your life up. You just come as you are.
Okay, welcome back. Such an honor to have with us today Sam Sorbo. She is the author of a fascinating book, several books, but her latest one deals with Parents' Guide to Homeschool, Making Education Easy and Fun. You can go to her website, Sorbo Studios, SORBO Studios.com, and get the book there and check out other things that she does and has there at SorboStudios.com. Sam, this is so fascinating because I think that there is an amazing awareness, obvious concern for parents for their children to be properly educated. More and more are looking at homeschooling. They are a little fearful as to whether or not they're qualified. They also understand that it is a sacrifice, but it's something they're willing to do but might be afraid. What would you say to that one that's trapped right there?
Yeah, well, they're afraid because they suffered 13 plus years of indoctrination by our schools, and our schools have made us very afraid and given us this terrible feeling of incompetence because you can't do anything that you didn't first learn from a teacher in school and get an A on, right? And yet we prove to ourselves almost every day that we are capable of learning and teaching ourselves and going to YouTube to look up the answer or going to Google to look up the answer. So don't think that this is any different. The education, by the way, the education pedagogy of the experts is a failed paradigm. So once you realize that the schools are missing the boat, all bets are off. Literally, if you did nothing with your child but keep them away from the institution, your child would be better off, which is actually where I was years ago when my 23-year-old was finishing second grade at our cute little public school that we moved to because it was such a good school, and he wasn't getting educated. And I pulled him out and I said to my husband, I think I could fail at homeschooling him, but he'll still be better off. Because even back then, I understood that the implications of sending your child to school were so severe in terms of the social structures that happen in school. For instance, you can walk into any classroom and ask any child who plays what role in the classroom. This is a disaster for our children. When they show up to school, they get assigned a role just by rote. My daughter in her kindergarten classroom, she learned one day that she was the stupid one because she couldn't perform in front of the classroom. She couldn't read her sight words because she got stage fright. And from that, she took the lesson that she was the stupid one. But you can ask any child, who's the class clown? Who's the smart one? Who's the klutzy one? They all get these roles, and then it's very difficult for them to escape from. And when you keep a child out of that system, the roles don't get assigned quite so easily. That child can be anything from one day to the next. So it's really much more of a freedom mentality. And what I say to parents who are scared, I say, try it for a year, try it for a semester, try it for the fall, try it for the spring, and see how it goes. And I will tell you from my own experience, and this is part of my first book on this subject was called They're Your Kids, an inspirational journey from self-doubter to homeschool advocate. I was tremendously doubtful about my abilities to teach my child. And I went to Duke University. Like I'm no slouch, but I didn't think that I was capable. I just knew that whatever I did would be better than what I was getting back from the school with my child. And so I started, and a year and a half in, I felt like a complete failure. I brought my kids, my little boys, to a private little school that I thought could do a better job than I could. I told the woman that my son was really good in math because he loved math, but he was remedial in reading. And she went and tested him, and she came back and she said, so he's second grade, right? And I said, yes, he's aged second grade. She said, well, you know, he's doing math at a fourth grade level. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He's awesome at math. And she says to me, but he's reading at a fifth grade level. And I said to her, so I'm the one with the problem? So we think we are incapable when we are more than capable. This is what I tell people. Your judgment of yourself is probably wrong. It's probably dead wrong. And let me add to that. Your children want to be with you. Your children want you. They want to love you, and they want to be you. And the best way they can learn how to be you is with you around all the time. Not all the time, but with you there most of the time, available to them. And if you can provide them that, they will be on the right path. They will have time to figure out what a kook you are, or how silly you are, or whatever, how you fail, right? They will have time to figure that out. But don't disabuse them of this love that they have for you prematurely by sending them to school and telling them tacitly, I'm not capable. The school knows better than I do. They're the authority, and I have no authority in your life anymore. Because that's what happens when you submit a child to the school system. And it happens just by rote. I don't attack teachers on this. I think teachers, by and large, the non-pervert ones, are trying to do a good job in the schools. But, you know, our schools have morphed tremendously from schools that used to support the family, where both parents would go in and have a meeting with the teacher, and the teacher would work with the parents and try to get the child, you know, up to speed or whatever, to this new paradigm where the parents are in competition with the teachers. The teachers are cut out of the conversation. The federal government decides that parents who speak out at school boards are now considered domestic terrorists. There is an antagonism between the parents and the schools that exists. You are losing your children in these schools.
So, Sam, there's an obvious question here. Why hasn't God-fearing teachers stood up against the nonsense?
They're afraid. They're afraid. And a lot of God-fearing teachers that are working in the schools are just trying to help the kids. They think that they're salt and light. They're trying to be that beacon for those kids. And some of them really are. And I commend them. But I want them to step out of the system and start homeschooling other parents' children in a way that honors the integrity of the child first, and not the integrity of the system first, because it's the system that is the perversion, not the teachers. And my heart breaks for those teachers, because they know that they're working. I've spoken to these groups of people, and afterwards the teachers come up to me with tears in their eyes saying, I know you're right. I'm just trying to do what's right for the kids. I love my kids, and I want them to know about God, and I want them to know that they matter.
It does look like the Department of Education is going to get unwound, maybe piece by piece, but it probably will go away, and that puts pressure back on the state. Even with the Department of Ed gone, does it improve anything?
Well, let me unpack that for a minute. I don't know that it puts any pressure on the state. Like, the states are doing what they're doing, and they'll just continue doing that. The Department of Education being unwound is not necessarily what's going to happen. What I'm seeing happen is they're just rerouting the funds. And so we will close down one bureaucracy and fire 4,000 employees maybe, but the other bureaucracies will take up the slack, and the money is still being transmitted. What we ought to do is disband a number of those programs, and or simply revert them all back to the states. So there's that. And I don't know, because the Department of Education actually doesn't educate anybody, I don't know like what effect it's going to have. I mean, it's a good move. Like, I'm for it. I think that it's going to, it can be a very good move, or it can be sort of a sideways move, a lateral move a little bit. My fear is that school choice will take over homeschooling and all the private schools, because when the money goes from the government to the parent, it's no longer government money. It's still the government money. And so the parents will direct government funds into private institutions, which will make the private institutions government institutions.
I got to get you back, but one quick question, 30 seconds. Why has the sexualization of students become the number one academic issue?
Oh, because religious zealots took over the schools. Secularism is a religion. Irreligion is one of the fastest growing religions in the world. And so they want to make sure that they get their religion into the kids before the parents can tell them the truth. And so that's why it's in the schools, is because there was a massive takeover. And there was a massive takeover in the teaching colleges. That's why it's hard to trust private schools, because private schools hire teachers out of teaching colleges. Yeah. And I mean, I know an atheist teacher who said, "Oh, this is my mission field," because she wants to teach at a Christian college.
Yeah. Your passion is wonderful. Thank you. And God bless you. Let me say to our viewers, check out our website, sorbostudios.com. There you can pick up the book, Parent's Guide to Homeschool, Making Education Easy and Fun, and check out all the other things. Can we get you back, Sam?
Love to. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, God bless you. You're just so spot on. Thank you for your passion. Hang in there. Hang in there. Okay.
God wants you to keep your children with you.
Okay. God bless you.
If you enjoy the Dove, help spread the word. Tell someone who needs the love of Jesus about the Dove TV. If they can't receive a signal, the Dove streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us. Spread the word.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living.